Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed episode number 124. And I'm Keith. Not a great name, that is it. I should call myself Mr. Clever.
I want to be Mr. Clever.
Too bad I claimed it.
Damn. Can I be Keith?
Go for it.
I'm Keith.
I'm Glenn. I didn't have anything clever.
That's why you're not.
I'm not
Natty
Mr. Clever.
Longshoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I totally want to ride that ride. But we'll get there.
How are you guys?
Good. Tired, extremely tired, and
Yeah.
sore. Extremely sore.
I'm sore too. I don't know why. I didn't do anything.
That's why you're sore. Your muscles are in
Interesting.
atrophy.
Atrophy?
That's what I'm trying
Is
to
it
say.
atrophy or atrophy?
Atrophy.
Atrophy. Your muscles are in atrophy.
Did
I
you
think
just
I
wake
said
up
that
in a
right
cocoon?
then.
Nope. I just woke up and my neck and shoulder hurt. I don't know
Were
why.
you
You
kidnapped by
probably just slept
machines?
wrong.
I probably did.
Maybe slightly cyber-esque machines that have you plugged in as a battery? Yeah, we can do Matrix references too, people. What do you think of them apples? That's not too old for you, is it?
What'd you guys do this weekend? I was like, yawn.
Mostly Mother's Day celebrations. Made my mom stir-fried rice. She came over on Saturday.
Just stir-fried rice?
You haven't seen my stir-fried rice.
Well, what's in your stir-fried rice?
It's got bacon.
Ooh.
Recipe time.
Everything's good with bacon. You're not supposed to lead with bacon. Now everything else is going to be subpar compared to
Steak
bacon.
and chicken.
Ooh, well, steak and chicken.
And then corn.
Wait, there's bacon, steak, and chicken?
Yeah.
Well, you got the whole farm in there.
Yeah. Corn, onions, green onions.
You do have the whole farm in there.
Is there any
Is there
leftover?
eggs?
Sarah's taking it to work tomorrow.
Oh.
And there's eggs, yes.
She's asleep. She wouldn't know if I ate it.
She would know in the morning.
Are you drinking beer, Sean?
No, it's a
Oh,
Berners.
okay. Look,
The
look
original
like a
ginger soda
Look like a beer
with
can.
an elf
It does.
on the or a
It's an
dwarf.
elf?
It's a dwarf on
It's
the.
not a dwarf.
It's a dwarf.
No,
Look at a dwarf,
it's not a dwarf. That's a leprechaun. It's a leprechaun.
dude. I can assure you, it's not a leprechaun.
It's a leprechaun.
No, it's not a leprechaun.
It's a leprechaun.
Burners.
Look at his hat.
There were no
I'm doing a
leprechauns.
You are
leprechaun.
very-
There were no leprechauns in Michigan.
It's a leprechaun.
There were no leprechauns in
Yeah, but
Michigan.
it's an Irish guy that founded the company.
No, it's a
Didn't-
dwarf.
I'm sure Warwick Davis visited sometime.
It's a leprechaun.
He's also a dwarf.
But he also played the leprechaun.
It's a dwarf. Who do you think mines cars in Detroit?
Leprechauns.
Dwarves.
No, they just magically appear. Haven't you seen all the rainbows over?
No, there are no rainbows in Detroit, I guarantee you.
After stir-fried rice, we went to
What were we talking about?
we went and saw Great Gatsby.
Oh, how is it?
Was it
Really
really
read
good?
the book?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
So my review
You read
of
the
it,
book?
of
No.
it is based off
No?
of that.
Let me rephrase.
Have you?
Chrissy, have you read the book and seen the movie? Because I'd like to see what the comparison is. Because I don't know that I'm going to see
Chrissy
it.
will
Right
probably kill us for not having read the book.
I have read the book.
I was forced to read the book in 6th grade.
What?
Yeah.
That's awful young for that.
I went to a progressive school. And
Take a high. What do you
no,
expect?
that was later.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Wrong school.
No,
It was all one then, wasn't it?
It's all in one room.
we all I kid you not.
That's an old joke of you,
It's an old
not
joke of
me.
me, yeah. You believe it or not, that's the second one-room schoolhouse joke I've gotten this week. You're behind the times. No, my sixth grade English class, we read The Scarlet Letter.
What? In sixth grade?
In sixth grade.
Well,
We read
What middle school did you go to?
Topeka Lutheran. So it was a private school, not public.
I call foul.
No, it was a public school. It wasn't private.
I could see private school doing it.
Those are two books
I could
that
see
a
it more
sixth
for
grade adolescent mind would not be prepared for.
You're right.
That's ridiculous.
You're absolutely right. I thought it was boring.
That's ridiculous.
So I say yes, I've read it, but I don't really think I read it. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I comprehended it. And then I saw the movie. We watched the movie.
The Robert Redford version.
The Robert Redford one.
I haven't seen that version
And I
either.
thought it was boring. So
I've heard that about the Redford version.
I love the Redford movie.
what else did we watch in that class?
yeah.
Romeo and Juliet.
That's,
watched
that's a
Moby
bit more
Dick.
Wait a
expected.
minute. You watched the
We would read it and then watch
booby
it.
version, or did they edit that for you? of Romeo
No,
and
we
Juliet.
saw boobs.
And this was a Lutheran school? This is... wow. I would...
You should change
If I were a
religions.
parent of a child in 6th grade, I'm not prudish by any means, but 6th grade is far too young to be exposing some of those things to kids. Now,
It was
don't
the
get me
greatest
wrong.
in-class
It's not that
movie I'd ever
It's not
seen.
that any of them are inappropriate. It's just you can't teach at a level too far above the level that you're trying to teach. And if you some of that stuff, people are going to probably balk me and say, "Well, you should be throwing all kinds of art and intelligent things at children, and maybe they'd be more advanced now." But there's a certain level at which is too high, and I think some of those, material in all of those, are too old for a 6th grade
As
student.
a 6th grade student, I agree.
There are some 6th grade students that probably could handle it and absorb it, but
Yeah, maybe, but
the majority of them no.
yeah, no, we hit all of the classics, and so I can say that I read it, but I don't.
I still think 8th grade would be too young for those, and I know that Gatsby's in some 8th grade syllabuses. But
I didn't enjoy it.
I read it in high school and didn't quite... I comprehended it, but I didn't probably get out all of it as I did later when I read it as an adult. So.
High school was
I'm kind of
Tale
tempted to
of
go
Two
read
Cities.
it now.
I've seen the trailers. It looks a little too
trailers
stylized and flashy.
no, the trailers
for
are
the
lying
novel
to you.
is. Okay,
I'm sure it's more flashy than what the novel is.
sure.
But from what I saw in the trailer, it's a fraction of what we see in the movie.
Well, it always is. It's trailers 2 minutes.
Well,
but
I mean,
what the
touches
trailer
on hardly
represents.
anything
Okay.
of what actually transpires in the movie.
Okay.
Because I had no idea reading what the basic plot was,
may
other than
stay
this guy Gatsby
true.
is throwing giant parties to lure some women there that he used to love.
Okay.
That's all I knew about it.
But yes, that's a very deceiving.
That's all I
trailer.
got from the trailer. So I was thoroughly impressed by the movie.
Now, had you seen Moulin Rouge?
Yes.
Did you like Moulin Rouge?
I did like Moulin Rouge.
So would you put this kind of in the
I
same
put it
ballpark
only
of
because
feel,
of the,
or
only because of the music. The music at first is a bit
Well,
jarring.
wait. Is this a musical?
No.
Oh, thank
no? But
God.
it is a Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it
why
is.
it's
Jay-Z
classic.
produced it.
That's one of its strikes against it for me.
Oh, I love it.
Jay-Z produced the soundtrack.
Really?
Okay.
So it's a lot of modern music and a lot of rap trying to disguise itself as 20s music.
Is it
So-
set in the 20s?
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
20.
There was a debate on that at
Gatsby
work, or whether or not.
No,
whether or not
yeah,
it was,
it's actually set in the right time.
They were discussing at work whether or not it was actually present day with just old cars, and I was like,
Oh,
no,
I
I'm pretty
see.
sure it's. I'm sure.
Well, that
I'm
would
pretty
be
sure it's
a Baz
still.
Luhrmann thing to do, though.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be.
No,
Shakespeare.
it would have actually set in the proper time frame.
The only good Baz Luhrmann film was Strictly Ballroom. From
I haven't
there, they
seen
all
that
went
one.
downhill. From there, they all
I disagree
I
with you there,
I didn't
but I
like
liked
Romeo
Strictly
plus
Ballroom.
Juliet.
Romeo plus.
Well, that's how it's. That's what the title is.
I liked Romeo and Juliet. I liked Strictly Ball. I loved Strictly Ballroom. I loved Moulin Rouge. I haven't seen Australia yet.
I liked Moulin
I haven't
Rouge
seen
for
Australia either.
the potential behind it. Maybe not so much the story in it, and the approach of it of telling a musical with these pop culture songs. I like that idea. Of
That was
Moulin Rouge.
that was the thing that Moulin Rouge took a while to warm on me. I finally am accepting of it. That was one of the things that bothered me about it at first, was I felt like they it would have been one thing to take modern music that fit. Like, I think Across the Universe is one of the best examples of taking
That is a good
modern
one.
music or a soundtrack
Period-appropriate music.
and putting it into a movie and making it work. That music, and it wasn't the period piece that didn't fit, because it was, Moulin Rouge is obviously set in the probably
because they
19th century.
re-recorded all the songs
Yeah.
too.
But it just it was like they plucked he plucked his favorite songs off and said, okay, let's make this work. That's how it
And
felt
some
to me.
worked and some
with the
didn't.
exception of Element Medley, which is still by far the best song in the movie.
So I thought The Show Must Go On in Moulin Rouge was fantastic.
See, I agree.
Yeah, that
with
and
was
that.
very
okay. That was
powerful and
okay.
very moving.
I-
Every
every
but some of
time-
the original stuff is fine too. But
Every time
Yeah.
one of them started, and I thought, "Oh my God, you're doing that song here," and then it would sweep me away with it. I fell for all of it.
Roxanne feels like
the Tango to Roxanne is phenomenal.
It's the most
Oh,
forced.
and I've listened
song.
to that one over and over and over, and it's so perfect for that. It's so perfect for that. Show Must Go On is another one that's
Show
really
Must
good.
Go On, I'm okay with that one too.
Like a Virgin is the one that I still cringe a little bit, but I
Yeah,
think that has more to do
yeah.
with Jim Broadbent chasing that poor guy
Yeah,
around
just-
the room.
Not pleased.
Which with Gatsby, the beginning with the music, it kind of has. It's a mix between the Moulin Rouge re-recording and Knight's Tale, where it's just there and blatant. And with the music.
I love Knight's Tale.
I like Knight's Tale, too.
I'm going to go see this movie now. Keith's talked
That's
me into
what I
it.
didn't like about Knight's Tale was the
I was able to get it past it in Knight's Tale.
No, I like Knight's Tale. I like the story of Knight's Tale a lot.
And I was able to really begin to ignore the music in the movie because I got sucked into the story. And really, because I'm so out of the loop in music, there was only one song I recognized, which was Crazy in Love by Beyonce, which I didn't know who it was. I was like, I remembered one song. I recognized one song.
Wait, Crazy?
Somebody re-recorded Crazy in Love. And it was a part of the movie.
All right, I'm not going to go see this. I'll wait until it goes on video for sure now.
It's definitely worth seeing on DVD. I don't know if I would. I'm glad I saw it. And it was worth seeing in big screen. Don't bother 3D. I didn't see it in 3D. I don't see the need for 3D.
Yeah. I'm not interested. I'll see it when it comes.
Do we ever see a reason for 3D?
Well, no.
Doctor Who's 50th? Nah, not so much.
But it was an enjoyable movie. I
forgot
was
that's going to be in 3D.
thoroughly impressed by
I'm sure it's going to be red blue. That's all the BBC can afford.
And then today we kind of relaxed and went over to Sarah's mom's and I grilled steaks for dinner. And
Ooh, yum.
yeah, fun was had by all.
Sean, what did you do? You want me to go next?
Yeah, you go next. You had a garage sale, I know that.
We did. Friday morning, I ran a garage sale by myself because Holly couldn't take this weekend off, but she went in late, so we got it set up. And
It was a big
We had
weekend for
some-
Holly.
yeah, it was. We had pretty decent turnout on Friday, and then I closed down at noon so I could go to work. And then we opened again yesterday morning, and we worked it until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We got a pretty steady flow, and it wasn't as much as we would like, but better than expected type thing. So, especially since we didn't advertise in the paper this time.
I'm really surprised you still have stuff to sell. I really think
always do.
that's
Because we have
what
2
flabbergasted.
garage
Because you
sales a
hold
year, yeah.
No, you hold like 10.
No.
You have one a month.
We have one in the
I
spring
swear
and one in the fall.
you have every other week. It seems like he's got a garage sale.
One
this
in the
weekend.
spring, one in the fall. No,
Why can't he
it's
come play
because
disc golf?
What
So
doesn't,
he's at a garage
what
sale.
doesn't sell usually goes into tubs and then back into the back of the shed. And the nice thing about that is you can just pull them right out. They're already priced and everything, unless we want to knock the price down on some things that don't move. This was the first time I actually took clothes, though, to Planet Clothes. Is that what the little receptacles are? That it's actually out of Kansas City. But
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're
because
talking about.
our adult clothes, like Holly and my clothes, they just don't sell. They just don't. So we donated those. But we did that until 3. We closed that down, and then it was Holly's birthday, so we took Holly to dinner, and that was about it. The kids. She took actually a friend of Caitlin's came over, and they went all to the park, and that was today. Then of course was Mother's Day stuff. We got up and took my mom to breakfast with Holly's sister. We took my mother-in-law to breakfast with my sister-in-law and her family, and then for lunch, my folks came over and we grilled hot dogs and hamburgers out and did the whole works. And then tonight we had cake and ice cream for Holly's birthday because we didn't have it on Saturday night because everything got late and away from us. So that was pretty much it. I watched a new episode of Doctor Who today because I was so busy yesterday. I usually watch it on Saturday, but today I had to catch up today, so I watched that. What was that?
I had finals.
I did get your invite for disc golf, and I appreciate it. I didn't respond. But
That's I figured you were running a garage sale.
yeah. Till about 3 in the afternoon.
Well, we wound up not even being able to do that one. Because we got there and they set that other course up for tournament play. Well, there was a tournament going on, and it was packed.
Where at? Over here?
Over at Shunga, Big Shunga. And so we were kind of like, well, everybody's here. You want to go try Crestview? So we went over to Crestview. Well, Crestview is currently set for gold. So it's got that extended. So even it's a little bit different. We went ahead and played it and made a very smart decision by playing the back half of the course first and then coming up to the front half because we avoided the huge gaggle of people that were there. I have continued in my quest of hitting every tree in
I saw you
that
posted a
stupid
picture
park.
with one wedged in the tree. I have never wedged a disc in a tree ever. Sean's wedged a disc in about every tree he's come across.
Every tree I've come across. I haven't met a tree I haven't hit yet. Aaron managed to throw my my Wraith onto the roof of the community center.
Oh,
So you don't have your Wraith anymore?
No, we got it back.
Oh, you climbed up there?
I didn't.
I'm sure he had
Aaron
Billy.
climbed up there?
No,
Billy
Billy
climbed up
wasn't
there?
with us. Billy was at Worlds of Fun for a class trip.
Aaron climbed up
I
there?
made Aaron climb up there for it. So you know in the movies when they always do the stirrup, and they put their hands down like this,
Yeah,
and they grab
yeah.
the guy's foot, and they I could cross that off my bucket list now because I've done that. I don't know why I wanted to, but I've always
A
wanted to.
rooftop burglar in the making.
Yes, so I hoisted him up on the roof, and he shimmied across all the way around the building and got my disc back.
Wow.
He had $20 out of his pocket just in case because he's like, well, how much are these things? That one, $17.50. So yeah, it was a fun time at the park.
Wait, you got a Wraith for $17.50?
Yeah,
Wow.
Screw check, baby.
Mine was $24.
But
All the trouble they've had with race, I'm not getting one.
yeah, I wouldn't get it. Either. That's the one that I like is that one. So I was a little miffed over that, but I like my Pro Destroyer a lot more. So anyway, yeah, I had finals this week, and that was kind of a never-ending. When is this all going to be over and done with?
How do you think finals went?
My physics final, I think, went better than the previous ones, but maybe not as well as I'd hoped. I think my public speaking final actually went far better than I was expecting, especially since I didn't get a chance to study for it at all. The cramming, people cram for tests. Yeah, I crammed at every stoplight between home and Washburn on the way to class that morning. I had my stack of papers, hit a red light, I'm reading, Tolman's theory. Okay, go, got it. What's the acronym GASCAP mean? Okay, got it. And, all the way there. But that was because every other waking moment this week was spent in the editing lab when it was open, editing the short film for digital filmmaking too, which went over really well.
Good.
We got it done, and I was told by the entire class, I got to say this, my digital filmmaking group were like the dream team of filmmaking students at Washburn. This is just a phenomenal group of individuals, and I'm pleased and thrilled and honored to have them all among my friends. But they're also enormously talented people, and all of the short films that we watched were very good. There wasn't a stinker in the bunch. They were all powerful and moving and well done. And I had several people tell me they thought mine was the best. So I feel like I'm in some very exclusive company there.
Have you posted yours online yet?
I have not. There's still some editing issues, some audio issues that I'm not happy with. And I'm kind of at that point now where it's like, I don't think I want to release this yet. I think I'm going to hold on to it and I'm going to fix it.
Well, good, because I don't want a special edition in 6 weeks down the road.
Yeah, and that's what this would be. It would kind of be a... And I still have to cut the ending. We're going to put a little at the end. I felt really bad. This is a fun story you'll appreciate, is that George was working on his, and his is kind
Lucas?
of no. We jokingly, did that. George had a horror movie that he was kind of working on, and it's about a little girl who turns the tables on a would-be kidnapper, and she hits him with a stick, and he goes off this cliff. And he goes, we need a scream here. There's got to be some sort of scream. And Evan turns to me and goes, what's the one? What's the one? And this is like 3 o'clock in the morning in the editing bay. So we're all a little loopy at this point. I go, Wilhelm. He goes, yeah. So he goes and he looks up Wilhelm and he downloads the freebie and he puts it in there. So now he goes, boom, the guy gets hit and goes, and falls off the cliff. And we died. We just roared and laughed and, carried on. And for the next 2 days, as I'm watching, because George is in the row in front of me, and I'm watching George edit this thing, and he gets to that point, and I'm going, I know I talked you into putting that in there, but you're really kind of ruining the spooky horror feel of this because I can't stop laughing every time I see this. He goes, I don't care. I like it. So he left it in. And he showed it in class, and everybody died laughing. Ed Cranston goes, the teacher, he says, well, it was really good. You may want to rethink that scream. Just, George, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk you into. And then I went up to him because I decided I was going to put it in my movies. I lifted clips of some of our films, including a little piece from Don't Dream It Be It. So this the quote-unquote Indiana Jones segment. And Arissa's watching it. You don't see any of the film. You just hear it playing in the background. And it's the big fight scene, and you hear whoop, and then I threw in the Wilhelm. So it's whoop, and she rolls her eyes, and it's fantastic, and I love it. But...
That reminds me, I watched The Hobbit this weekend, which is really good. I enjoyed it a lot. But that made me think it was the Wilhelm scream because I caught it on this one. So sometimes they'll go by me and I don't hear them. This one I did. It was pretty awesome.
Even Mel's picking them out now.
It was in
awesome.
It was in a perfect scene. I mean, it was the battle with the dwarves, not dwarves. It was battle with the
ogres
in the mountain. Yeah, and that was cool. It was really.
Is that one that goes off the bridge? Right. We noticed it in the theater. We're like, so. This is the sad thing is I had all my stuff there, and we've gotten to that point where a lot of people had pulled an all-nighter Wednesday night before the filmmaking final Thursday, which is why I didn't get to study for my public speaking, which was also Thursday. So I'm going on, I don't know, I think 9 hours of sleep spread over 3 or 4 days. We get done with the final, and I'm supposed to work that night. Matt looks at me, he says, you want to go grab something to eat? Because he says, I don't think I can go much further. I'm like, yeah, let's eat, and then I'll grab my stuff and leave. So we walked over to the Union, and we both literally kind of stumbled our way across campus and didn't realize how fatigued and tired and hungry we were. And on the way back, he says, just think, you're on summer vacation now. And I really had to stop and think about that, like, yeah, it's over. Because I was going back into the belly of the basement of the building, and it was just like, no, I don't want to be here. But it was.
Are you taking summer courses?
I am taking a summer.
So
I'm
it's
taking.
not summer.
I'm taking math.
But online?
No,
No, at the school.
not at the school. But I have 3 weeks off, so.
Oh, well, good.
And
Only
only the one class.
That's not too bad then.
Yeah, it's algebra, but
Is it only one class a week? Like
Two.
you only meet once?
Two.
Oh, I hate algebra.
if I met
hate
only
any kind of math.
if I met
Good
only
at
once a week, I wouldn't learn anything. Oh wait, my digital filmmaking class was once a week. So that was my week.
Did Mel have a good Mother's Day?
She did have a good Mother's Day, for the most part. We went and Billy made her breakfast in bed this morning. I won't say as to whether or not that was at my urging or not. And then what did we do? We had Katrina this weekend, so she was up on Lovejoy. Oh, and we had the barbecue Friday night. I invited all the filmmaking students over because we were like, we need to decompress. Let's party. And they were all talk. Because I got reports all week long about how they were going to come, and they were each going to eat 10 hamburgers, and they were each going to drink 16 bottles of liquor, and they were all going to pass out on my couch. And I was like, all right, bring it, I'm ready for you. And none of them stayed past 12:30. Which was the kicker, because
So you could have hopped on.
It was just late enough, I could have probably still,
Caught half of
Friday night who, but by that point I was tired. So, but no, we did that, and we didn't really do anything. I asked her what she wanted to do. She says, I want to veg. I want to do nothing. So we had watched Superman 2 the night before.
Oh, good. Now I can borrow both of those.
Ish.
What do you mean ish?
Well, we did this originally when the box set came out. We watched Superman 2, and then we watched the director's cut of the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. And I was comparing and contrasting. And then I watched a special documentary feature on that disc last night about the director's cut. And both of us sat there going, I don't remember that.
I don't think I've ever seen the director's cut.
When was that scene in there? And so I was like, wow, maybe we don't remember this nearly as well as we think we do. So we're going to go back and watch the Donner cut at some point soon. But we watched Revenge of the Cybermen and Nightmare in Silver today, and then we also watched 2 episodes of Castle and Misfits. So we kind of got completely caught up on our TV viewing with a little break in the middle of the day. And we played disc golf on Saturday, so it was just kind of a nice, relaxing, it's decompressing. Yeah,
well,
it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend.
Nothing like relaxing.
Yeah, if I could find out a way to do it, I would love to be able to import all of the footage from Superman 2 and all of the footage from the Donner cut of Superman 2, because I think somewhere between the two is a perfect movie. I think obviously the theatrical version's got its flaws, and quite honestly, the Donner version's got its flaws. And I think if I could lift bits and pieces out and kind of create my own edit of it, I'd be perfectly happy with it.
The Sean Collins cut.
The Sean Collins cut of Superman 2. But I don't know how to do that yet, so maybe I'll work on that as a summer project.
You should try to do the Sean Collins cut of Superman 3.
You know what the Sean...
You'd cut all of the Richard Pryor.
You know what the Sean Collins cut of Superman 3 would be?
It'd be 20 minutes long.
Superman 4.
Oh, no.
And move on. Wow. We are going to watch it. We're going back through all of them, because it's been years and years and years since I've seen Superman 3, and I will watch it, and I will think of you and think... I will go into it thinking, maybe this isn't nearly as bad as I make it out to be. And I'm sure I will walk out of it going, wow, that sucked even more than I remember. But I will think of you during the pain that is that film.
Speaking of rewatching stuff, we're a week out. You got the original series finished?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I hit a stall point. So
which one?
I'm in the 3rd season. I think I only have about 8 left to go. So
are you going to try to get the movies done too, or just sticking with the original?
Because the movies I watch periodically, and they were fresh in my mind. This was really just to go through. I toyed with that idea, but when I got to the lull, I kind of went, maybe
not going to happen.
Yeah, but this was really just kind of a refresher, and because I hadn't seen a lot of the Star Trek, and then B, because there are holes in my viewing that I just ones I'd never seen and haven't caught over the years, because I've never watched the Star Trek series from beginning to end. I always watched it in syndication because I watched it as a kid with my dad. I still, I could catch it on. In fact, I think it ran on Nickelodeon, it ran on Sci-Fi for a while. I caught a bulk of them then, and even then, I saw some that I hadn't seen. Every once in a while, they would be on some afternoon on some. I think My TV ran them or something for a while, so I'd watch them. So that's what happened.
Local network used to all the time. They were on KSHB out of Kansas City.
Oh yeah, 41. That's the NBC, but 38 Family Greats.
Yeah,
I watched them on there a lot when they were on there. So that's been the course of it. I've never watched linearly ever. So that's what this was, and I've probably seen the most. I think part of the reason I ran into a lull is because I'm seeing ones that I've seen dozens of times. And I'm like, I've seen this one. I don't remember liking this one that well. Although there are a couple that I saw that I didn't think I liked that I turned around and went, okay, that isn't bad. Or the second, third viewing, it's like, okay.
We found that too when Mel and I went through them. Is the first season, for being as uneven as it is, there are really some really good episodes in first season. Second season, honestly, is even better than people make it out to be, in my opinion. And third season,
second season is my favorite season.
Yeah, well, it's always regarded as this is the one where all the classic episodes come from. But it's consistently, second season is better than even that. And then third season is not quite as bad of a drop-off as kind of the Doomsayers always have made it out to be as well. There's certainly
there's some turkeys
stinker episodes in season 3. Spock's brain.
But I'll have that. I'll definitely have that done by next weekend.
Oh, okay. So. Did you guys see the Simon Pegg's idea for what this new movies are? That something happens in 3, and they all go dark, and this is the mirror universe? Spock grows a goatee, and all because of whatever happens in the third.
We're still talking third Star Trek.
Yeah, the third Star Trek yet to be made movie.
Well, you said in the 3s, and I was thinking, well, he's got a 3 coming out. He's got World's End.
Oh yeah,
so I went and jumped track.
Star Trek still. Scotty,
Yeah,
he plays Scotty.
Yes, I know that. But you said Simon Pegg's new film, and I
his idea.
You know what his idea for this film was?
Or for these new films.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meaning the Star Trek films.
I just jumped track. Sorry. That'd be kind of cool. I'd go see a Mirror Universe Spock.
No.
What?
I've decided.
Zachary Quinto with
I
a
have
goatee?
decided that the Star Trek films just need to have nods to characters and be original stories, like they have done. The first movie was an original story. This story is an original story. I don't think that it needs to be Khan. I don't think it needed to do Khan again. I don't think they're going to. This needs to be a new villain. This needs to be a whole new universe. This needs to be a whole new world. I'm enjoying the films and the nods to characters that hey, I know him. Hey, that's an event that happened. But we haven't focused on. Don't retell me the original stories. Don't do that. We don't need that stupid.
But it wouldn't be. It'd be the mirror stories.
We
don't know what happened in the mirror universe.
You know what kick ass? If they go in the third one, they go into this alternate universe and meet the original crew.
Do like trials and tribulations.
No.
Shatner, come on, no. Be cool.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on to other news.
Other news? Have we started news?
Actual news. Doctor Who news.
Yeah.
Nothing happened this week.
Nothing happened, really. Some fans in America have seen the Doctor Who series finale already.
Oh, yeah.
Due to a mistake in the distribution of Series 7 Part 2 only, right? Series 7 and the complete has not even been announced yet.
Yeah, it's just Part 2.
I don't know. You guys shared this news with me tonight, so...
Part 2 was sent to part of... the North America.
I was off social media most of the weekend, so I'm assuming.
So I told him
this
about
weekend because I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think they arrived Wednesday, didn't they? Wednesday or Thursday?
I didn't hear about it until today.
Somebody on Instagram, somebody I follow on Instagram, said that they got it, and everyone went, "Yeah, right, whatever," and they took pictures of it and took pictures of the discs. And then took pictures of the title screen of Name of the Doctor just to prove that, no, here it is. I'm not making this up. So, yeah, by the way, you guys might want to stay off of your social media sites for the next week if you don't want to know.
BBC America, Stephen Moffat have all came out and said, please don't spoil this for anyone. Unfortunately, somebody changed the Wikipedia page, so the background gave the name of the Doctor. It's been fixed since then, and I don't know how this will affect what Stephen Moffat promised, but Moffat promised that if the spoilers stay off the internet, we'll get a clip of David Tennant and Matt Smith together from the 50th. So, Let's hope people stop being jerks.
Wait, by avoiding
It's the internet.
spoilers...
You can't keep.
Hang on.
Yeah.
By avoiding spoilers now, he's going to reward us with spoilers later?
Yeah.
It doesn't. He didn't
Just
say.
a slip of
he
them
didn't-
together. It's probably from that read through that they did that they
a
sent us
behind the
pictures
scenes
of, yeah.
scene, absolutely.
Boo, I say.
So if anybody got a copy of this, or
Put it in our Dropbox.
I'll tell you. What's your guys' reaction to this?
it's also, I think it's kind of funny.
It's pretty
That
colossal.
the company.
It's funny.
I think it's
Isn't
just
It's colossal.
BBC. It's a facepalm
it
issue.
In my opinion, the funny thing is, I'm not angered by it
Oh,
by
no.
any means.
Oh, no.
But this is the biggest snafu.
It's just a
One
wow.
of the biggest
Really, you let that
snafus
happen?
that any company could ever do. That's the it. I hope BBC America is just livid over this. I hope they get some compensation for it because I mean that is so unfair to any of your media partners that are counting on revenue from a show.
Oh yeah.
And BBC Worldwide. And you think they're all an arm of each other? They're not.
Yeah.
I mean, BBC America is its own corporation. Now, it works in tandem with all the BBC stuff, so don't get me wrong. They have a brotherhood there. But one entity has pretty much just stung another entity.
And I suppose we should clarify. This was not like it's readily available down the street at your local Best
Right,
Buy.
you're
No,
right.
this was
Best
pre-orders.
Only people who pre-ordered it.
Which really, who pre-ordered season 7 part 2? Why
Apparently,
not
one of the
just
people I follow on Instagram.
wait till series 7 complete?
Well, if you don't want to wait, you've got
guess.
all of them. Of course, you don't get all the
Oh,
little
wait, now-
bonus
bonuses,
features.
but-
Who here at the table did that?
Yeah, and look at what a mistake it was to get rid of that.
Yeah, but you only did Christmas Carol. You didn't do like a whole.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was only a Christmas Carol. And I think I had like a gift card. And
I don't know. This to me is as colossal as if Disney accidentally released a DVD of Star Wars Episode 7 a week before it hit theaters.
Right.
I mean, it's that kind of whoa.
I don't know if
Really?
it's that big, but it is that. Well, that would one up this. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but
well.
yeah. This is. I just it baffles my mind. Now
I
will be angry if I know it can't help but be spoiled on the internet. I mean, that's the nature of the internet. It's going to happen. There are a-holes out there. However,
I think some of the major websites are making a point
They
of
are.
not posting
They
anything.
are.
And I just make a plea to any Facebook fan: don't start posting anything. God help me if Craig posts some spoiler from this.
I'll
thing.
tell you, and quite frankly,
'Cause that's
I'll
the person I could see
I will
doing
put
it.
the warning out there now that if anybody posts this on anything connected to Traveling the Vortex, whether it ends up on our page, or it ends up on our face page, or it ends up in my Twitter stream,
unfollow.
You will be unfollowed. You will be. I will take you off of. I will ban you from being able to follow our page. I will ban you from being. I can't ban you from. Looking at the traveling.net or travelingthevortex.com site, but I will ban you from being able to post. So that's your warning right now, is if anybody posts anything on any of our proprietary websites, you will be banned and you will be reprimanded for it because that's very uncool. So
Remember Wheaton's Law.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Don't be a bleep.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thought so.
And those thinking of, I should go look for this online now. The
easy to find.
actual episode, be warned. It's I've seen some online reports that it's already some people have already been taking advantage of the fact to spread viruses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Forewarned.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that thinks this is very, very silly because do you remember how? Because I worked in the video store, we got Revenge of the Sith on DVD early, and we made a point of getting together at midnight on some ungodly hour and watching it just because we'd already seen it. We'd seen it in the theater. It wasn't even new spoilery information. It was just, we're going to get to see it before anybody else in Topeka does. Yeah. And so we got together and watched it at midnight on Thursday when it was supposed to release on Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah.
It's, in a way, that's kind of what this feels like. It's
I mean,
like
the next Tuesday.
Or the next Tuesday. I mean, there's a small group of people out there who have now seen it. And it's like, okay, cool for them. Just don't tell me.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
That's all I ask.
If I were one of the ones that got it, I wouldn't wait.
Yeah, I can't
you
fault.
better have called us.
If I had gotten it, I wouldn't have waited. I'm the same way. You can't fault them for if you got
Watching it.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
You
That's
just
fair game.
You've likely been waiting for the entire season.
I have
anyways.
no ill will for anybody that got this early. I mean,
Just don't post it.
Yeah, just
don't post it.
Let's stay quiet about it now. Don't brag about it.
Oh, I'd brag, too. I wouldn't tell you what I see.
Guess what I know?
I know something you don't know.
That's exactly what I'd be posting. I've seen something you haven't seen.
Don't be malicious, though.
I would be tempted to throw out obvious fake names if I had seen it.
Dr. Bob.
The doctor's name is Joe. Anyway, so...
See, we joke about that, and it's going to come out to be Joe, and then we're going to feel bad. It's just going to be...
I won't feel bad. People
Because
know I
we're
don't
joking.
know.
It was not on purpose.
The little girl was River. Oops. All right, well, speaking of
The name of the
the
doctor.
name of the doctor...
There was a prequel.
There is, in fact, a prequel. Doctor Who prequel, He Said, She Said. Hence, that all roads lead to Trenzalore. And we will have this up on our site, because it's officially penned by Stephen Moffat.
Well, that's not why we'll have it on our site. We'll have it on our site because it's official and it's out there.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, it's official. And it's penned by Stephen Moffat.
I think that's
the
what
official.
you were trying to
That's what I was trying to convey.
Was the fact that it's penned by Stephen Marfel?
Stephen Marfel.
Marvel? Stephen
Just
Marfel.
announced new showrunner Stephen Marfel.
It's penned by Stephen Marfel. What can I say, Moffat? It's penned by... Okay, whatever.
By Moffat.
Yeah. So that was the
And
point you were
it's
trying
an
to make.
official
But that's
prequel.
not why we're putting it on
No,
the
that's not why we're
website.
putting it on the site. We'll put it on the site because it's official and it's cool. But it is penned by Stephen Marvel.
That's going to be his new pen name.
Pen name, Stephen Marvel.
Stephen Marfel.
I like it, Marvel. I'm going to name a character in my new movie, Marvel. I will
Would
think
you?
of you. Sure.
All right. And when I see that movie on the big screen, I'll say, hey, I picked that.
That's because of me.
It doesn't really answer any questions other than we're going to Trenzalore.
Yeah.
It's almost more of one of those prologues
Which is funny
that you
because-
don't know what they're talking about.
We know that the question was going to be answered on the Fields of Trenzalore. So come to think of it, this doesn't share anything.
No.
it's a recap of everything we don't know.
I did think it was cool because they're walking through this, I don't know, almost looks like a backlot stage kind of thing. It's almost one of those things that they've done that's they're in character but not on set in character, you know what I mean?
But it almost looks like it's a room the TARDIS encapsulating their memories.
Yeah, I mean they've
And
got
they're
all
tell-
these
stuff from this
and
season.
they're talking
props
to
from this season.
As they
the
walk
TARDIS
through,
almost. I got the impression.
As each one of them are talking about certain events.
But that was the cool factor of it, because it could have just been a room at the warehouse at the the studio in Wales, or it could have been a TARDIS room that set it up specifically for this. You don't know. They don't talk about it, but I just thought that was. I thought
I
the
don't think
look
we'll
of it
ever
was
find out
really cool.
either.
It's cool.
And no, we won't. It'll just be there. It is. But yeah.
Anyway.
Now, why is the Doctor and Clara in that room is the question. But
That's a question they'll never answer.
it'll never get answered.
So,
there is a prequel.
another little bit of nice nod this week was the television BAFTAs aired.
Skipped one.
I did.
Did anybody think that Dorium
Prequel
should be in the
BAFTA.
in the
That's what I
final?
have.
You didn't write the one down, man.
What one?
The movies coming out on Blu-ray in the UK that might come over here.
No,
I don't
'cause
think you
that's
paid any attention to that.
no, that's
I think it's kind of neat.
Anyway, the BAFTAs, they paid tribute to 50 years of Doctor Who, and they had a nice little compilation video, which I thought was pretty cool. And then it cuts to the 11th Doctor and Clara and the TARDIS, and there's a nice little interchange
There's a
about the BAFTA
BAFTA,
award.
yeah.
So I thought it was really cool. And kudos to the BAFTAs for... and the sad thing is,
Amy?
the 45-second tribute that they did for Doctor Who was better than anything the Oscars did for 50 years of Bond, if you ask me.
Agreed.
So, anyway. So, kudos to BAFTA, and if you get a chance to see that, go out there and see that. We'll see if we can get a copy posted on our website as well.
Yeah.
I think that one was available from the BAFTAs for free use. I think that's a fair use one, too. So,
Maybe.
We'll figure it out.
I'm going to go look.
What was the movie you were talking about? I still don't know what you're talking about.
The Peter Cushing movies are going to be released in the UK on Blu-ray.
See, now, my BAFTA tribute fit better with prequel. That's why I had them...
Okay.
You would have totally ran us off track. You're not allowed to do this anymore.
Hey, I'm the keeper of the feedback, not the keeper of the news.
So Keith's got some information on the Cushing films.
They're going to be... No, I closed the link now because we weren't going to talk about it.
They're coming out on Blu-ray in the UK.
No
Still
word.
no word here if it's going to be in the US. All right, we're done.
I think that's why I ignored it, because
I just
cares
hope,
about the
I just,
UK?
I just hope that
No, I did not say that.
they always get stuff before us
Well, I'll
as
tell
far
you,
as Who stuff, so it's
It makes sense.
not out of the realm that we would get it here.
Exactly.
It's coming
It
out
makes
on
sense
both
that it will eventually come out.
remastered and repackaged for both DVD and Blu-ray. And there's going to be a limited collector's edition of the two together. Remember, we do have an international audience.
Oh, I know. I was poking fun when I said, "Who cares about the UK?" Although they probably
On May 27th,
because they get it before
May
we do. They
27th.
probably found out about it before.
Well,
we
that's
even
true.
did, too, so.
I don't know. It just
They
got
probably
posted on
know,
DoctorWhoNews.net
Oh, well,
this
there you
week, and that's a UK-based website.
Yeah, I'm sure they know. The other bit of news, Keith, you brought this one.
The fifth BBC America's announced what the fifth Doctor special is. The episode they're going to air after the special, which is Earthshock.
By that special, you mean the Doctor?
Yes,
Revisited?
the Doctor's Revisited. Sorry,
It'll be Earthshock.
will air Monday or Sunday. Wow, I can't speak
You
tonight.
told me that on Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Thursday or
believe
Friday?
so.
Thought so.
I think no, I found that Wednesday, so I probably told you
It
then.
must have been Wednesday.
Sunday, May 26th at 8 Eastern Time, 7 Central.
And that leads right into the Fifth Doctor ebook, which is now.
Come on.
I'm supposed to stretch these segues out a little longer.
Tip of the Tongue by Patrick Ness.
Who's in that? Who's reading that? Do we know yet?
The
It's a
ebook,
Oh, the ebook. I'm sorry. I was saying I had.
not the audio go.
Yeah.
Not
Never
Destiny
mind.
of the Doctors.
E-book. E-book. It's time for e-books. Jazz hands. Little throwback for you.
All right. So exciting news there. That's the Fifth Doctor one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
So, what was
speaking
the
of
fourth Doctor?
the feedback song.
What was the fourth Doctor? It was
E-book?
Pyramids.
Oh.
Was the
That was the
Revisited?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's still things that are readily accessible and available. And, yeah. But kind of cool that we got some Cybermen action going on. No, wait, we've had two Cybermen stories now. We had Tomb of the Cybermen.
I think that's
That's
probably
what it was, yeah.
why they did this
And
one.
no-
It's kind of a shame they didn't do
no
Warriors of the Deep.
Daleks yet. Why is it a shame? Sorry, what?
I'm sorry. What?
Seeing if you're paying attention. I tried to poke that bear, or poke Chrissy with that. Poke the bear Chrissy with that on Friday Night Who, and she didn't bite.
Sit bite. Warriors of the Deep. Warriors of the Deep was good. Yeah, Merca, but it was good.
That's why it was good.
I enjoyed Warriors of the Deep. I liked the sets.
I liked the money pit.
I liked the money pit. I didn't like the Godfather.
It insists upon itself.
All right.
Oh, Lordy.
Let's move on. It took me a half a second to figure out what.
There was any question?
No, there was. I didn't.
Really?
I didn't even think about that.
Gold Planet. It's the one with the Midas touch. A cyber touch. Such a gold planet beckons you to enter this web of sin. Couldn't think of anything there.
Obviously.
Oh, no, I did. I screwed it up. Threatens you to breathe in its air of death. Damn it, I didn't delete that line. Golden wards you will pour in our ear. But feedback can't disguise what we fear. For a podcaster knows when he's reading a crazy spoilery theory about a gold planet. Cyberman, beware its heart of gold. Yeah,
I really don't think Cybermen have hearts of gold.
they didn't.
I'm pretty sure that would kill them.
The planet has a heart of gold. That's why you have to avoid it. Yeah, not so much on that one.
We'll give you a pity golf clap.
I was really excited when I started writing it, and then as I got into it, I was like, this really feels shoehorned. But the more I worked on it, the more committed I was to it. I couldn't stop. And, yeah, I don't know.
I couldn't think of anything there. Oh, wait, no, I did. Too late.
I did. I had a line, and apparently I didn't delete because to try and keep the cadence the same. I always leave the original lyric, and then I write the new lyric, and then I didn't delete the old lyric. And I read that, and I thought that doesn't look right. But okay, I wrote it down, so obviously it makes sense. It's the same thing when I watch my film. It's like I left that there for a reason, didn't I? Oh no,
I don't know what
that
reason was.
Okay. Oh, that's not supposed to be there. All right.
First up, Andrew. Comment question. Sorry if this is self-indulgent, but I want to add to the Clara discussion.
Bring it.
For me, the whole Clara mystery just doesn't work. The problem is that characters coming back from the dead is actually very common in Doctor Who. Jack, Gwen, the Master, and of course Strax is just to stay with the new series. And there has yet to be any explanation of why Clara's return is in any way more notable than anyone else's. Gwen from the Unquiet Dead returned in the Stolen Earth. And it was just waved away by the Doctor as ancestral morphic resonance or something. Strax.
Well, admittedly, she was a different character.
Well, no,
at that point.
I was going to let him do this.
I'm sorry,
We'll
okay.
talk about it because, yeah, I completely concur. Well, go on because I've got points for all of these.
Okay. Glenn's going to explain it away.
Not necessarily.
Strax returned in the exact same episode as Clara, but the Doctor just waved it away by saying another friend of mine brought him back. So I really hope for some kind of explanation as to why the Doctor's reaction to Clara's return has been different, but so far none has been provided. On the face of it, the only difference between Clara and the others is the repeat of "Run, you clever boy," and "Remember" line, but the Doctor has made no mention of it since the first episode of the series. It's not the end of his email.
No, I want
Okay.
at the end of that thought is where what I meant.
Okay.
Okay. While I concur with the fact that the mystery has not been built and expounded on, and that the sheer fact that she has died several times isn't really pushed home, or has been pushed as kind of the reason why she's a mystery.
I don't think they're explaining the mystery well.
Exactly, they haven't. And I think that's purposeful. I don't have a problem with that, but he's right. We haven't gone anywhere with that. And it does leave us wondering why the Doctor is so fascinated with her as a character. But I will say that of the three examples that he used, I believe that Jack is really the only amalgamation. And that one's exactly explained very well. The fact that Rose, basically took on the heart of the TARDIS, absorbed all that energy, and she's the reason why he became a fixed point in time, because she essentially manipulated time when she wiped out the Daleks. So that simply is answered by that. And the Doctor is intrigued by that fact, and he explains to Jack at one point that he doesn't really understand why this has happened to him, other than the fact that he's a fixed point in time. He doesn't really... There's no perfect explanation for why Jack continues to come back, with the exception of maybe, I don't know if that was answered in the fourth Torchwood series, because I still haven't seen the last
really.
episode. Okay,
You're so off base because you haven't seen Torchwood.
So that one, that's the only one I count as a character actually coming back from the dead. All right, now,
yeah.
okay, no, hang on, because with Gwen, that's a whole different issue, because the word for word here is the Doctor says, can't get rid of him. Jack, what's her name? Jack says, Gwen Cooper. Doctor says, tell me, Gwen, are you from an old Cardiff family? Gwen says, yes, all the way back to the 1800s. The Doctor and Rose watch her with huge grins. The Doctor says, delighted, yeah, I thought so. Spatial genetic multiplicity. Now, that is not necessarily saying that she is the same character or the same person as Gwyneth from the 1800s.
She just looks like her ancestor.
She happens to look, and the name for the thing that perhaps you take on, because there's so many generations between the two, the theory behind the fact that you may actually roll the dice and look like somebody you're related to in the past is answered by spatial genetic multiplicity. That's simply all that they're saying. He's not saying that it's Gwyneth resurrected or that it's a new incarnation of Gwyneth. All he's saying is that this happens to be an ancestor that she looks exactly like, and it's because of spatial genetic multiplicity. So Gwen and Gwyneth are two completely different people. They just happen to look exactly alike, and well, they're played by the same actress. So that there's why. For the same reason that Martha looks like her cousin.
Yes.
it's spatial genetic.
Because they're cousins. Identical cousins.
All right, so that explains that one. So that's not a resurrection. That's not somebody coming back from the dead. Strax
was faking it.
He wasn't faking it. He fainted. We are led to believe in the series, until it is let on later, that he wakes up 2 days later, that he was killed. Well, it's revealed in that special prequel to Crimson Horror. No, not Crimson Horror. Oh, it was just a special they did. It wasn't even a prequel.
Yeah, it was just a.
It was more of a.
It was kind of it should have been a prequel to The Snowman, is what it really should have been.
Yes,
but
they released it
much
before
later.
Bells of St. John.
That's right. Oh, was it before Birth?
I think it was right before that.
Okay, then
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It was
somewhere
released sometime
in there.
during the
it was somewhere in there.
A special exclusive.
I thought they
episode.
released it before Crimson Horror because they come
No,
back.
it's
again.
been longer ago than that.
And the what he says is a friend brought him back, I think was just a throwaway line to say, okay, we're going to explain this later, but it's, we'll leave some mystery there as to somebody must have resurrected him. And then when they answer that question, that Strax didn't actually die. He thought he did. We thought he did. Ginny and Vastra clearly knew he didn't because he fainted, and they woke him up, and everything was fine. And they went to live with him. So that's not a character being brought back from the dead. Now, metaphorically it is, because that we thought he was dead as the audience, and then we find out that he wasn't.
And in fairness,
so
if you haven't seen that,
then
then you would know
agreed,
that.
agreed.
So it's
but
kind of,
I count that as continuity. So that's the answer, that he never was dead. So that's not a resurrection as well. Now that doesn't lessen the fact that what he states, part of his statement is true, that they really haven't. There's no answer to why the Doctor is fascinated by the fact that she keeps, but it lends a little more weight to the fact that because he has met her 2 other times in different incarnations, they seem to share the same name, not just the same look. We're not talking about ancestry. We're not talking about spatial genetic multiplicity here. We're talking about somebody that shares the same name, making the same comments, things like that, mannerisms, everything. So that's what I think is lends more to the fact that.
Well, and that's what's throwing him, because it's Clara in Asylum of the Daleks.
It's 3 separate Claras right now, as far as we know.
As far as we know, it's 3 separate Claras.
That's the difference, and I think that's why it's such a mystery to the Doctor.
Because Clara Oswin in Asylum of the Daleks is not the same Clara as Clara from The Snowman, who is not the same Clara from Bells of St. John's On. And yet it is.
yes.
That's the paradox part of it that's throwing him, is that he can't quite put his finger on how that's possible, because it's not ancestral memory.
It's not technically a resurrection.
It's not a resurrection. It's not a. I mean, they're 3 parts of the same whole in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
So
he continues with, having said all that, there is one genuinely intriguing thing about Clara. Each time she's met the Doctor, it's been at her bequest. In Asylum of the Daleks, she hacked the Dalek system and sent the signal which caused the Daleks to fetch him. In The Snowman, she went to Vastra. In the prequel to The Bells of St. John, she went over to the Doctor when he was sitting on the swing. In the episode itself, she phoned the TARDIS because she needed help with her internet connection. I don't know what it means, but the Doctor only finds Clara when she's calling for help. The same's true in Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. The Doctor can't find Clara until he hears her screaming in the console room. Of course,
I'll take that one step farther, because in Rings of Akhenaten, Shaka Khan, Akatin, whatever we decided to call it, in that one, the Doctor goes back and picks her up on her terms as well, because remember, she says, meet me here tomorrow morning. It was in a week.
It was a week or
well, I
something
think
like
that they have revealed in this episode this week that he must be picking her up on every Wednesday. Because she says, see you next Wednesday. So I get the impression that he comes every Wednesday.
And I wondered if that was a John Landis joke. Isn't it see you next Wednesday that Landis puts in all his films?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
Are you kidding me? Okay, now I have to look it up. Talk amongst yourself.
So anyway, I think
wonder if that's the day that the kids have after school activities.
Even that one, you get the impression that it was at the behest of her, that she said, I want to go somewhere. That was the other thing, is it wasn't really her asking for help, but it is her saying, I want to go somewhere interesting. It's more of on her terms than his terms. And so that kind of lends to that idea as well. Now, I can't seem to find anything in Hyde that would...
See you next
She
Wednesday.
goes finds him.
See you next Wednesday is a recurring gag
She
in
does
most
go
of the
rescue
films
him.
directed by John Landis. It has appeared in Schlock, the sketch comedy Kentucky Fried Movie, The Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, Michael Jackson's music video Thriller, Twilight Zone the movie, Spies Like Us, Into the Night, Coming to America, Dream On's first episode, Innocent Blood, the Michael Jackson video Black or White, The Stupids, and the Masters of Horror episode Family.
Okay.
Wow, did he really do the Stupids? I did not know that.
I've never seen the Stupids.
It's pretty stupid.
Really?
I read the books when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the
That's
movie
why
when
it
I was
based
younger.
on a book. So that's
Yeah.
why.
You didn't know that?
Huh.
Yeah, he's
I
always...
did not know that.
See you next
Bit of
Wednesday.
movie
I
trivia.
wondered if that was part of that, but...
So anyway, that's there.
He continues with, but of course along comes the Crimson Horde and wrecks all the above, theorizing by having the Doctor finding Clara sitting in a frozen in a bell jar. Oh, well, it was fun while it lasted.
Good point.
Anyway, I'm still enjoying the podcast. I hope you three are too. It would be a shame if you considered doing it a chore. P.S. Your comment box spell checker on your website doesn't recognize the word Dalek or TARDIS, despite them both being in the Oxford English Dictionary. I wonder how long it will be before they turn up in American English dictionaries.
It's a good question.
Probably longer than it should.
Probably.
That would suppose that our website is using an American English dictionary.
Can we change it?
It might be Indian English. No, that would still fine. That would still probably recognize Dalek and TARDIS. Well, thank you very much, Andrew. And
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry
Andrew.
that I was picking apart your speculations there, but
Up next is David.
David writes, the Doctor's wife? More like the Doctor's hamming him up. Am I right? Comical Drum hits his podcasters and feedbackers alike storm out in anger at wasting their cash on this horrific gag.
I'm glad I didn't spend any money on it.
Wait, there's cash involved? Why haven't we not seen any, Glenn? You're holding out on us, aren't you?
no,
He's paying David,
I
apparently.
think I did pay David,
This
yeah.
garage sale of which you keep speaking.
I'd have to pay David. That's why I had the garage sale, because apparently I'm paying for joke
All
lines.
this petty cash is going to other places. Hey, Vortex guys. While Nightmare in Silver will neither give me a nightmare nor make me covet silver, it will entertain me. Well, I do tell a fib. I will get nightmares, horrific fever dreams of how over-emotive the kids were. The curse of the child actor, the inability to not too much rebellious emphasis on any unnecessary words. It happens to the best of us, if the best of us are children employed in productions. Funnily enough, for the return of the Cybermen, they were really not there at all. When they do show up with their makeover, they waste no time. The bullet time aspect of their newfangled running was cool and added to their you will never escape factor, but they're still not quiet when they walk. I thought Jenna Louise Coleman gave a really... He's talking about the Cybermen there and not the kids. Got it. Okay. I was marginally confused for most of that paragraph. Sorry.
Well, he was a whole separate
As
thought.
for the return
As
of
for
the
the return of
Cybermen,
the Cybermen, we're dealing with... Okay, yeah, I got it.
comma.
I didn't take English grammar this semester. I thought JLC gave a really good performance. As for Matt, well, he was great. Really great. Hammy as heck, but great. Warwick Davis was good, too. Did anyone else notice how he was almost a sort of mirror for the Doctor in the early years of Who? Both didn't want to be part of their respective lives, ran away and became this different figure, eventually had to unwillingly rely on other people to save them from an unsolvable problem. Well, blimey, next week's looking sweet, swell, and good. David. P.S. Iron Man 3 was really, really, really good, and I can tie it into Who because of the blue circle in the middle of the new Cyberman.
I think we talked about that.
Arc reactors.
There was
Arc
a
reactors.
meme that went around where somebody repainted one of the Cybermen.
Yeah, they did.
Very cool.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Up next is Holly.
Holly writes, Revenge of the Cybermen and Nightmare in Silver. Hey guys, great last podcast. Revenge of the Cybermen. Like this episode, the TARDIS has disappeared yet again, and Harry and the Doctor and Sarah Jane are waiting for it to show up. The Doctor really hit the nail on the head when he saw Kelman in the first episode and asked who the homicidal maniac was. Have to really give the Cybermen credit for their plan, use the humans to go down and destroy the planet full of gold so they wouldn't get harmed. Plus those Cybermats were really creepy looking. The political intrigue with the
Vogons.
Yeah, Vogons was interesting. There were some good action scenes. We get the Doctor calling Harry an imbecile. Doctor, give him some credit. He was trying to save you. He didn't know about the bomb strapped to your chest and what it would do. The Doctor drops Houdini. I really loved...
I think.
Oh, wait a minute. I really loved I think before I missed... It missed line.
I think, therefore it missed.
I think...
Therefore it missed.
I think really loved I think, therefore it missed line. There we go. From the Doctor, when the missile missed the beacon. Okay, I got you now. Loved the ending when the Doctor steps back out of the TARDIS in what looks like quite a few messages from the Brigadier needing his help. With what looks like quite a few messages from the Brigadier needing his help. Nightmare in Silver. This was a good episode. Loved the Doctor's line to Angie and Artie about not wandering off, and that those who wander off usually end up in need of rescuing. The Cybermites were scary little critters. The Cybermen are fast movers in this episode and also seem to have taken a page out of the Borg's playbook with upgrades to be able to survive. Great use of Warwick Davis in the episode. Liked Porridge's character as soon as he was introduced, and the reveal at the end of him being the Emperor was a real twist. Matt Smith did a fantastic job acting in this episode of playing the Doctor and the Cyber-controlled Doctor. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the cyberific stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Some great points as always. Up next, first-time feedbacker Colton. He sent in some audio for us. We will warn, as he will, it contains rumors of the 50th anniversary.
So potential spoilers ahead.
Hey Sean, Glenn, Keith. It's Colton here, and despite lurking in the shadows for a good couple months now, I finally decided to send in some feedback, though I do have an ulterior motive. You see, like the Cyber Planner, I too need a brain, specifically you guys's, only I need them to help me puzzle out whether or not I like the rumors for the supposed plot of the 50th anniversary. But before that, how about those Cybermen? Specifically Matt's portrayal of the Cyber Planner? What a great performance. Like, perfectly blending the goofy lightheartedness of the 11th Doctor and the cold, calculating menace of the Cyber Planner. Not to mention the beauty of the scenes in the Doctor's mind, with the actual Doctor's side having all that circular Gallifreyan and warm colors in the background, while the Cyber Planner's background was a stark contrast with cold blues, sharp angles, and flashing blueprints. If I had to have one complaint with this episode, it would be that we didn't get to see Warwick Davis as Cyberman, which would have been awesome. Like, him running around in the Cyberman suit would have been amazing, and I would have loved it. But, that being said, he got a great role. You know, it wasn't, haha, it's funny because he's short. Having said all that, I'm really looking forward to next week's episode, especially those monsters, which look really cool. And the fact that the next time trailers show us River's grave and the Doctor mentions, quote, crossing his own timeline. Which, I'm not going to go on record saying this because it's Moffat, but he may be rewriting Silence in the Library, which I think could be really interesting to see him do. But speaking of rewriting timelines, I accidentally spoiled myself for what the supposed plot for the 50th anniversary was, and I want your opinions. The information in question came from The Sun, England's version of the National Enquirer. So take it with a grain of salt. If you don't want to hear this information or don't want spoilers on the show, stop this audio now. I'll completely understand. I'm giving you ample time. Well, if I'm still here, let's get on with it, huh? So we already know that John Hurt is going to be in the 50th. But what we didn't know is that he's going to be playing the 9th Doctor. However, it's not a simple, Richard Herndl as the 1st Doctor and the 5 Doctors kind of deal, where, that you just replace the actor. Instead, he'll be playing an incarnation of the 9th Doctor that falls between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston, that everyone, including the Doctor himself, has forgotten about, which would bump Eccleston up to the 10th Doctor, Tennant to the 11th, and Matt to the 12th. I personally think this sounds pretty cool, and they've done something similar in Big Finish with the Eighth Doctor, because, I mean, if you're going to do an amnesic story, you go with the Eighth Doctor. Don't know why, but that always seems to be the one who gets the amnesia. Anyways, but instead of forgetting an entire regeneration, it was a pair of companions. It's an interesting concept, but at the same time, it's such a major change that it almost seems predestined to failure. I mean, people on Tumblr are already calling it, the end of Doctor Who as they know it, yada, 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 typical fan reaction, or I should say overreaction. But basically, I want to know what you guys think of it. I think it sounds like a cool idea, and again, all of this came from The Sun, so take it with a grain of salt. There's still yet to be any official confirmation or denial from the BBC, so until then, I think I'm just going to keep calm and trust in Moffat, because if anybody could write this, it would be Moffat. But I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' take on this, and I hope to hear it pretty soon. So, bye!
All right, well, thank you, Colton, and welcome back to any listeners that might have stopped that.
Do we want to weigh on
I think we should weigh in. Yeah, absolutely. Because he reached out for help. We played the entire thing, so I'll give you my 2 cents right now. Don't believe the hype.
I don't believe it either. I take it with a big grain of salt.
First of all, I don't think you can qualify the BBC keeping quiet on that and not discounting it or confirming it, because number one, they're going to confirm something that the Sun reports on, for one thing. Number two, they're not going to discount something like that, because the BBC has never, in my recollection, ever discounted anything that the Sun has said, because it is discounted once the episode comes out. I mean, let's remember that the Sun was one of the I think it was the Sun that came out and said that Woody Allen was going to be playing Einstein in an upcoming episode of Doctor Who, like 4 years ago. I mean, and that never came about.
They're the ones that keep saying that Doctor or Matt Smith's leaving the show immediately.
Well, that one they might be right with, but the Sun, while it's had some lucky guesses in the past,
or gotten some good information in the past, I think it did get Jenna Louise correct.
It did get Jenna Louise correct, but with the exception of a few here and there, I don't trust the Sun. I don't see that happening, and I have it on good faith from people that have a little more knowledge about what's coming. Just some little tease information that I'm not going to disclose here. That this is not in any way close to what is going to happen here. As far as being, I guess I should go to say, as far as being like a 9.5 Doctor or Forgotten Regenerations, that's not going to happen. Now, to say that
it's probably a good thing, because you promised us the 9.5 Doctor story to explain Shaka Doctor.
We have clearly that would be the 8.5 Doctor. We clearly have seen.
I think we're going to get that next week.
We've all seen the pictures of John Hurt in the coat allegedly, which I'm not still 100% sure it is the leather jacket, because it's a leather jacket underneath a jacket. It's the one that I've seen. So I mean, it could have been the jacket he wore.
I've seen I think I've seen it without the overcoat on.
There's also been the spotted one where he's wearing the Eighth Doctor's coat, which Sean and I talked a little bit about before the show. I think what Moffat's got planned will be something very clever, and there'll be a reason for all this. I don't believe in the Forgotten Regeneration.
How awesome would it be if John Hurt was 12?
That would be good.
12th Doctor?
And, I mean, they have said they already know. The Sun did say that the production crew already know who they're picked for the next Doctor.
I never saw that.
That was back in that one that they posted in March.
That Matt was leaving?
Yeah, they'd already had somebody ready to go for number 12.
John Hurt would be a fairly awesome Doctor.
Oh, John Hurt would be a fairly awesome Doctor.
And I like the skew older. I like the acting chops.
Yeah, certainly got the
skill
to do so. And this is something that, I mean, another thing that's out. Well, I think hopefully we've helped you out there a little bit, and you were allowed to pick our brains a bit. But that's my opinion. I don't know if you guys.
I agree with Glenn that I don't think it's going to happen. At least I kind of hope it doesn't. It seems like a neat idea on the premise, but then it invalidates a lot of nice little tie-ins, especially through 11's run. there's always been nice mentions of 11. And to have that stripped away just kind of makes much of the 11th Doctor's run kind of hollow. To me, at least. So I personally don't want to see it. It'd be an interesting what if it ends up like somehow they come across him and he's like, yes, I'm you. I'm the ninth incarnation, and then somehow circumvents itself where it doesn't happen.
Exactly. And
I'd be okay with that.
I won't discount that happening, because that could be possible. It could be some sort of paradox. It could be some sort of counterpoint. It could be some sort of, instance that 10 and 11 obviously have to fix in order to correct their past timelines. I don't have a doubt that could happen. I think what I doubt is the forgotten regeneration. I just don't think that's a case, and I think there's a reason for Hurt wearing the coat, and I think it'll be clever and wittily done, and I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. Sean,
any thoughts?
Don't just echo us.
There's been so much of...
at least Keith expounded on his.
So much of what has come this season has felt like reset button. There's been a I don't know.
The removing himself from
it's almost in some ways it almost feels like a deplorable excess of we're just going to fix it because it never happened. And if we come up with a 50th anniversary story that it has involved this 9.5 and then in some way fix it so that it never happened, it's just going to be more par for the course for me. Yeah, really. I mean that's really what I'm kind of worried about. The idea in of itself, I think, is fine. I don't have a problem with them introducing this middle ground character if they can convince me that it works. And I'll give you an example, which I'm going to be talking about a lot this week. Is going to be Star Trek. There's an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where we reveal that they visited this planet that had some sort of defense energy shield that went on and off. And as they beamed back up to the ship, Riker's transporter beam bounced off the inside of the shield and back down to the planet, but the beam split. And Riker went up to the surface and continued on. And meanwhile, there's been a duplicate transporter Riker down on the planet that's been living there for 14 years. Now, common science fiction knowledge and tropes would say, now that you've established a duplicate of this person, you must kill this individual by the end of the episode. And they don't. This Riker survives the encounter and goes back and rejoins Starfleet and begins a whole other parallel life under a slightly different name as, in a way, kind of Riker's brother. And I thought that was one of the most astounding things that I'd ever seen done with that particular trope.
Right.
If they can come up with something like that for this, where maybe we don't have to fix the problem and reset it, but we can learn to adjust it without screwing up the established continuity of 9, 10, and 11, then I think we'll have something very cool on our hands.
Well, that's assuming that it actually...
Assuming that's what it actually is happening.
So you'd rather he's an old version of 10.5 of Handy Doctor, essentially?
Nah, see, I don't buy that either.
It's kind of the same idea, which I don't... Well, it would be a way to avoid the issues. It's something they've done before. Yeah. They created a duplicate of the Doctor.
I tell you what I'm concerned about is the fact that we got the report that they talked to Eccleston, and Eccleston didn't want to do the 50th, and now all of a sudden we've got
I think that's what
John Hurt.
That's building into the rumor.
Yeah,
I think that's why they went to, he's a 9.
Right. He's Eccleston's replacement for not being able to use 9.
I really honestly believe that he, in many ways, could be a direct result of whatever the events are of the Name of the Doctor. I think whatever's going to happen at the Fields of Trenzalore is going to directly pay into the 50th, and I think we're going to see the start of that next week.
That's possible.
And believe that.
All right.
But that's my 2 cents.
All right, let's move on then.
Next up is Daryl. Comment question. Hello, Vortexians. Daryl here from Guilford Street, after all, in St. Louis, Missouri. Just wanted to drop you a few notes regarding the Crimson Horror, Nightmare in Silver, and the 50th. About the Crimson Horror, I thought it was a pretty good Who romp. It was totally a Gatiss-type story with a historical setting, world dominator, wannabe, and goofy creatures. I like the nod to Emma Peel, Diana Riggs' character, from the Avengers, not the superhero movie, when she stripped off her clothes to reveal the black cat suit and proceeded to kick some pretty boy butt. Also,
When did that happen?
well, he's referring to Ginny. Doing that.
Okay.
And for the record, I liked that part too.
All right, yes. I didn't even collate the two. I didn't collate it as a nod, but now I totally see it. That's actually pretty cool. All right, very good.
Also,
I was just saying, remember Diana Riggs strip off.
Thank goodness.
she kind of pulled.
Oh, Sean.
I'm sorry.
She did kind of pull back a flap.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't think it was cool because it was an Avengers reference. I thought it was cool because Jenny was in tight leather. You know, that was...
And kicking butt.
And kicking butt. That was where I went with it.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Also, Matt's bowler hat was a nice nod to Steed from the Avengers as well. Love Strax. Fine, I'm going to go play with my grenades. Overall, I'd give the episode a 7 out of 10 grenades. Nightmare in Silver was a mixed bag. I thought the addition of the kids were unnecessary, and it felt as if Moffat told Gaiman to include the kids, so he obliged reluctantly. Then decided to sideline them for most of the episode. I did love the girl's line when she left the TARDIS. Bye, Clara's boyfriend. Hilarious. We didn't need to see the cyber feet, but I think... Cyber Fleet.
we saw Cyber Feet. I mean, we saw them marching, but it wasn't like we hadn't seen that before.
We didn't need to see the cyber fleets, but I think they were added later to add more tension and danger. As the original title of this episode was The Last Cyberman. The episode had a good setting, Warwick Davis was really good, and the chess game was as good as it possibly could have been, with Matt portraying both roles magnificently. The rubbish army crew's acting was not the best, and I didn't really buy that they would follow Clara's orders just because the doctor gave her the badge. I know they were supposed to be dim, but that was odd. Overall, I'd give the episode 7 out of 10 Cybermites. As for the 50th, I thought it was odd that DWM stated in the newest issue that no classic doctors will be appearing. Why would they even print that? Why not let people keep guessing and build up excitement? Unless they fear bigger backlash later, but I think it's a big lie. Everywhere it's said that the media marketing and drip-fed news is carefully choreographed, and the BBC hire people specifically for that purpose. They didn't need to say anything unless we will get something. Maybe even at the end of this week's finale. 50th anniversary special wrapped up filming. A lot of filming was on private property and also in the studio. I still think the 11th will go back in time and revisit his previous incarnation in televised stories, a la his Laurel and Hardy scene. The book The Eight Doctors did this as well. They would solve the no classic doctors coming back, but I think there will be cameos. They said no classic doctors coming back. They didn't say the actors weren't coming back. Maybe show up in other roles. That would work. I know they stated they weren't asked, but they would be able to. But they wouldn't be able to say if they were asked. Lastly, I was thinking that Clara was Omega. As there have been references to him over the last couple of years, he did change his form to that of the Fifth Doctor back in Arc of Infinity. But with something that is so out there, Moffat would surely have thrown in lots of clues and a build-up. There hasn't been enough info for the casual fans, so I doubt that is who she is. She hasn't been evil enough, so that probably also rules out the Ronnie. Oh well, back to square one. Who is Clara? Why can't she just be a normal girl? Lastly, the name of the Doctor. It would be foolish to give him a name. No matter what it would be anticlimactic. Who is about a mystery and the unknowing. That's what made it successful all this time. If they name him, then the show has seriously jumped the shark. But I bet it's another red herring. It's probably a play on words like, I am doing this in the name of the Doctor, not actually naming him. Anywho, enjoy listening every week and the various tangents and rants. Keep up the good work. Daryl from St. Louis.
Thank you, Daryl. Who claims to be from St. Louis?
With a name like Villaford Street, I don't know.
Next up, Kirk.
Kirk writes, "Hey, Vortex crew. Here are some quick thoughts about Nightmare in Silver. But first, I'll start with a few words about the past couple of episodes. I don't have much to add about Journey to the Center of the TARDIS that others haven't already covered. It has some nice moments, but some serious problems, too. Enjoyable, but unsatisfying. A second viewing actually made me feel a little better about the reset button. The first time through, I thought it came from the future Doctor originally. On second viewing, the Doctor actually picked it from the pocket of one of the Van Balen brothers, and for some reason, this made it seem more legit. Likewise, I'm with the consensus that the Crimson Horror was a fun romp. It's nothing deep, but it had its many enjoyable moments. I liked the unusual structure with the Doctor and Clara not showing up until midway through. Nightmare in Silver was one of my favorite episodes of Series 7. As one of the few people who were underwhelmed by the Doctor's wife, I was pleased that Neil Gaiman hit the mark more for me this time. The supporting cast was phenomenal, with Warwick Davis as a standout. The kids did fine, although I think we all find it odd that they've been shoehorned into the past couple of episodes. It does risk getting a bit Sarah Jane Adventure-esque with them tagging along, though. Matt Smith's performance was better than ever. I particularly enjoyed his delivery of the line about collecting funny insects. You collect funny insects? Yeah, I'm starting to. Right now. That was just the beginning of his run of juxtaposing silly and sinister line readings throughout the episode. It's a shame that he'll never be nominated for an Emmy, because he deserves the recognition. Speaking of funny insects, the Cybermites are scary, and so are faster Cybermen. I truly thought Clara was about to die in battle with the advancing Cyber army. The Doctor's chess game comments about the wisdom of sacrificing his queen made me think they were actually going to do it. The last-minute reprieve was an unexpected twist. I could nitpick. Why didn't the Doctor just put the kids in the TARDIS? Etc. But I won't. It was a fun episode with a lot of mood, real suspense, terrific acting, a few nice character moments, and unexpected twists. Loved it. Now, to get ready for the big series finale.
All right.
Kirk,
I have to say there's one reason why he didn't put the kids in the TARDIS. Infinite rooms. I mean, they already proved that they were going to wander off.
Don't
let them wander off in some place where you could track them down. Don't let them wander off into the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to find them on an amusement planet run by Cybermen than it would be to,
But to the same extent, couldn't he use the scanners to find their biometric signature inside the TARDIS and then...
Well, why didn't he go in the TARDIS and find their biometric scans?
Oh, that too.
Why couldn't he find Clara that way?
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that's so.
All right, next up, and finally, I believe, is Chrissy. Chrissy writes, Dancing with Myself. Dear Vortex Boys, is it too late to request that as the feedback song?
Yes, but that probably would have been better. Dancing with Myself.
I enjoyed your thoughts on Iron Man 3. If I'd known you were discussing that, I would have sent something for that as well. Honestly, I had no idea this was supposed to be the last Iron Man movie. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at avoiding spoilers if I choose. And I was a little upset at the ending, but now that I've had time to think about it, I'm okay with it. I think this movie was the best of the three, though I've slowly learned that I am in the minority when it comes to Iron Man 2 because I really liked that one as well. I really hope that Robert Downey Jr. decides not to come back and they just retire Tony Stark and Iron Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I can't think of anyone else who could do it as well. If they end up proving me wrong, I will gladly eat my words, but I can't imagine anyone else as Tony. Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
An addendum to the 50th anniversary talk. I won't spoil anything, but I looked at something a little bit spoilery, though I look at it as more of a teaser. I know not everyone would feel that way. But this thing I saw made me really, really, really happy about the 50th anniversary special. I mean, even more than I was before. I only bring this up to say that Stephen Moffat has everyone's best interests at heart with this thing, and this special is going to be awesome. Moffat knows the history of the show, and he certainly wants to pay tribute to the entire 50 years of Doctor Who, and what I saw confirmed that. I'm calling it now. All of these people bringing their malcontent to the table will be eating crow come November. Okay,
Hear, hear.
Okay, I'm just delaying the inevitable. Guess I ought to review Doctor Who, huh? Nightmare in Silver. Well, good night, everyone. Tip your waiter. Okay. I guess I can try to review this one. Honestly, this was a hard one to pin down. There were parts that I really liked and parts that I didn't, but those were just parts of the story. The whole thing was very middle of the road. This is the thing with Neil Gaiman. I adore some of his works, but there are others that I don't care for. My favorite book of his by far is The Graveyard Book, and I really loved Anansi Boys. But I couldn't get into The Sandman or American Gods at all. They weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, they just didn't do it for me. And I guess that's what Gaiman's Doctor Who is like as well. I love The Doctor's Wife, but Nightmare in Silver was just okay. And the thing is that nothing stands out as being particularly bad, it just wasn't something I enjoyed. I just felt like the individual parts of the stories didn't fit well together as one cohesive whole. I did like the parts with the Doctor arguing with the Cyber Planner in a Gollum Smeagol type conversation from Lord of the Rings. That was really clever. I also liked the background when the standoff was in the Doctor's brain and the Doctor's side of the background was all gold and Gallifreyan while the Cyber Planner's side was blue, electric, and menacing. Matt Smith can do the slimy villain really well, and I enjoyed that. Other things that I liked. Clara was great. I loved how she basically took control of the army of misfit toys, and they beat back the Cybermen. Warwick Davis as Porridge was fantastic, and I loved that he ended up being the Emperor. The redesigned Cybermen are really good too, and as are the Cybermites. The only specific thing I can point to about being negative was Angie. She was just obnoxious and moody, and, well, she's a teenage girl, I guess. But it just annoyed me that there she is on an alien planet in the future, and all she can do is roll her eyes and whine that Clara is being so unfair and stuff. I mean, come on. Artie seems to be enjoying himself. If Angie doesn't want to be on the TARDIS, then take her spot. Ungrateful little brat. Or I'll take her spot, ungrateful little brat. I know it sounds like I have a lot to praise, but when you put it together, it just really felt empty. I thought the episode was okay, but not particularly great, although I have a hard time pinning down why I really feel that way. Maybe it's just the really high expectations being a Neil Gaiman episode, and they just weren't met. Sort of unfair, I guess, but there you go. I'm sure other people liked it, and I'm glad that they do. Revenge of the Cybermen. Is it bad that I don't remember this one at all? I blame Keith.
Hey!
He brought up Lost during Friday Night Who, and it all went downhill from there. Well, so does the series. I'm just going to leave it up to the three of you to discuss because I have nothing. That's all I've got for this week. Hope all the moms and moms at heart had a great Mother's Day, and I hope everyone whose mom is still around remembered to call or visit to wish her a happy day. Chrissy. Her signature's fangirl librarian. I've noticed that.
You hijacked the Friday Night Who
not on
thread
purpose
to talk about Lost.
No,
I
not
saw.
on purpose.
I saw the next day.
Chrissy, or no,
Don't blame Chrissy for this.
Brittany asked, could you imagine watching this when it aired, the cliffhangers? And Chrissy mentioned 24 was bad enough. And I said something along the lines of, you haven't seen nothing until you've seen the cliffhangers of Lost. And then that kind of spiraled, and we started even talking about tattoos, and yeah, we kind of went off on the deep end on Friday night. We came back around by the end.
Oh. That video is supposed to be released right after the episode next week, by the way. Did you see that?
No, it was supposed to be released right before this week. Right before the episode, after the episode this week.
That's what I'm saying.
The prequel?
No.
Oh.
The Matt and David episode, the clip.
Oh, after.
Is supposed to be right after the episode.
Oh, so
next
they'll
week.
include it on the broadcast.
So we may not see it if BBC
might
America
not.
decides not to do it. So
I didn't see that.
yeah, that's from Doctor Who Official. Sorry, didn't mean to get distracted there. I just clicked on something that took me there.
Well, shall we move on to our reviews?
Let's talk Revenge of the Cybermen.
The Doctor and his companions are lost in time, expecting to be reunited with the TARDIS following a secret mission for the Time Lords. They instead find themselves on a plague-stricken space station orbiting the remnants of Voga, planets of gold. The Doctor, Harry, and Sarah Jane have stumbled into the last battle of an ancient conflict between humankind and one of its most terrifying foes, the Cybermen. Dun dun dun.
Really?
I like it.
Okay.
You don't like it?
I wouldn't give it an enthusiastic dun-dun-dun, but I give it a dun-dun-dun.
I used to think that I would like. I used to think that I liked this episode until I watched it recently.
Oh.
I watched it today and really.
Maybe I was too distracted by tangents during Friday Night.
What did you? Well, to start. You start.
I like the story. It's
Now, this is one of the few that you own. So
yes. Glenn got this one for me for my birthday a couple of years ago, if I remember
seen it
correctly.
before.
So I'd seen it before for Friday Night Who UK, back when we used to do that.
When
So
they
I
were.
borrowed your copy for that. So that was the last time I'd seen it, and so I didn't remember it as well as I thought I did, and I enjoyed the story. It's the Cybermen with a simplistic plan of we have to destroy this planet so we can continue other plans. I like that aspect of it. I agree some of the political maneuvering on Voga is a little... Why?
Okay.
But the idea that we return to Nerva and the TARDIS, and we're in the future, or in the past for some reason, and we got to wait for the TARDIS to slide in with us, and so we just got to kind of kill time. And look, there's all these dead bodies. Well, maybe we should look into that. And then they think it's a plague, and the plague effect is really cool.
Oh, the
spider
effect,
veins,
yeah.
and
Sometimes, you notice at certain angles, it's almost like the CG, or the computer graphics, they're real rudimentary, but they obviously draw something on the face, and then they key in.
according to Michelle, it was reflective tape.
Well, that's probably true, but they put reflective
added
tape on there, and then they
extra on.
key in that red, is what they do.
Sometimes it didn't
That's
work.
simply what it... But at certain angles, the tape must not have reflected in such a way that it didn't...
They could
because
key
you could
easily.
see the tape. Now, it didn't look like tape, but you could just see black lines. But it was at certain angles you saw the red glowing, and I thought it was a great effect for the time.
And the fact that this... Probably one of the biggest unexplored reasons and parts of the story is the guy who teamed up with the Cybermen to bring them to Nerva, and then but he's kind of we don't get why he's brought them here. Obviously, they tricked him, I guess, of some sort, and then he kind of redeems himself by teaming up with the Vogons.
See, that's just it. That's the part of it I think that
Or
I have...
he switches to save his own skin. I can't tell which.
That's the part I have the most trouble with, is that he claims that he's obviously the bad guy straight out, and that, okay, we're going to do this, and that he's working with the Cybermen, and he was been promised riches, and I must go down to the planet to make sure everything's okay. All right, go ahead and go. And he gets down there, and then it's like, oh no, I've actually been working with this guy because it's a trap. Okay, so you're a double agent who killed 47 people to spring your trap. I have issues with that. It's just not a good...
That's actually my only problem with this story, is the fact that... Is it Kelman? Kelman sort of... He does that switch, and we're expected to just kind of accept that. You know what I mean? After, yes, this horrific thing that he's done in order to start this whole chain of events.
All just to get a little gold in his pocket.
Yeah, I have a little bit of issue with that. But overall, I enjoy this one. I mean, it's one of those ones that... The Vogons, when I first saw them... It took me a little while just to get used to the design, because
unfortunately there are only a couple of good masks.
Yeah, they're a little unnerving, but I like the whole political intrigue and the whole political factioning going on here in this story. Although it's not, I don't think it's developed really well, but I like the fact that we've got that kind of underlying that we've got this petty little. It's not petty, but we've got this little dispute going on while there's a real. A threat coming.
Right.
And so I kind of like the fact that it's like the inner fighting between political parties until, something big comes, and then everybody kind of has to put that aside and deal with the imminent threat. And
the caves they shot in were fantastic. I thought the location shooting was really well done.
I would agree. It sounds like you're stretching for things that were good.
I don't know.
But the story is kind of run of the mill. It's not a fantastic story, but it's kind of there. And I've always enjoyed it because it was one of the first Cybermen story I ever saw. So I was kind of introduced to the Cybermen here. Now the gold, I think the gold here is explained much better in the way that it would disrupt the breathing mechanism on the suits of the Cybermen.
Yes.
I think that I'm perfectly fine. It seems like Gold, and I think we've talked about this before, that later on Gold just becomes a kryptonite. It's not. They don't say anything about the breathing apparatus, although he does crush Adric's star into the breastplate. But,
in Earthshock, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this was my first introduction, so I kind of hold this as, maybe it's more of the nostalgic factor is why I enjoy it so much, because of the fact that this would have been my first. I also like the fact that it's placed nicely in this arc of season 16, that it continues we pick right up with traveling back from Genesis, or from Skaro to...
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right.
Right. We come from Skaro with the ring and the cheesy effect of them all spinning at the beginning is there still. But, and the fact that I like the idea that we don't have the TARDIS here because we have to wait for it to catch back up with it. So I like that. I like the intrigue of they walk into the thing, and so there's dead bodies everywhere, and there's this mystery, and we've got to figure it out. It's just like the Doctor to start going poking around and whatnot. And it feels like really two separate stories here, because we get a lot of nervous stuff for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it kind of is all set on Vogon, with the exception of the very end of the 4th episode. So overall, it's to me, it's an enjoyable story. It's run-of-the-mill, and it's not, I wouldn't rank this up there as one of the best, but as a Cyberman story, I really enjoy it. And... I do like
It's one of the ones that does justice to the Cybermen. I think
it does. Yeah.
Aside from I don't like the Cybermats in this. I don't like I don't like their design. Is the problem?
This was the first time I'd ever seen a Cybermat. So then when I saw the little weird ones in Tomb of the Cybermen, when we finally watched that, they didn't look like Cybermats to me. I was like, that's not what I remember as a Cybermat. They're the big worm-looking type things.
Really, those designs are more Cybermites. What we have now, Cybermites, is more the design of the Cybermats is more of what they use for Cybermites. Yeah,
just tinier. Yeah, the Cybermites. So
maybe the Doctor was wrong. They weren't Cybermats; they were Cybermites. Yeah.
So I can't say much. Well, no, because they're too big to be mites.
Well, they're still working on that.
So overall, I have very little quarrel with this story, and it's enjoyable, and it sets there in one of my favorite seasons of all time. So,
okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I used to agree with you. There wasn't ever anything that was truly outstanding about this episode, but it was it's always been one that I've liked. It's always been one that I've enjoyed, and it was also my first introduction to the Cybermen. I think it's interesting, coming hot on the heels of Genesis, that we've got the Daleks and Cybermen in the same season, back-to-back episodes. I had the novelization, and I read it over and over and over again, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought a lot of the things that you guys pointed out were good. I like the political machinations. I like the fact that we go back to Nerva. I like the fact that we have this kind of fun romp going on within the confines of the story. Watching it today, I just honestly, I can't put my finger specifically on what it is, but it started off, and I was pumped. I was all set and ready to go for this one, because I was really kind of upset with myself for not being here for Friday Night Who. But so I was ready to watch it, and then it started, and I was like, "Oh, cool, here we go!" And we're at Nerva, and then, quite honestly, this was the first time I realized the timeline for Nerva. And I think, honestly, I can attribute a little bit of this to Destination Nerva, now that we've listened to the Tom Baker Big Finish audio, that every time we go back to Nerva, it's earlier in Nerva's timeline. I didn't really get that before. I thought this was after Ark in Space.
Oh.
When it isn't. It's very much before, when they've retasked it to do something else. But as the episode wore on, it got more and more something wasn't right, and I couldn't. I finally I've chalked it up. There's something that was twofold problems. One is there's a fundamental problem with the story, and then the other is the Cybermen. Sorry, Keith.
I would say the Cybermen were some of the stronger parts of the story.
I've got the Cybermen. Quite honestly, this episode of our show, the Cybermen are going to plummet several notches on my favorite villain list. Between this and Nightmare in Silver.
I think he didn't like Nightmare in Silver.
I won't say that. But the Cybermen in general.
The Cybermen in Nightmare in Silver,
the more I've dwelled on this.
The Cybermen I think, are better in this than even Silver Nemesis or Attack of the Cybermen.
Yeah, I don't know about Attack, but definitely Silver Nemesis.
I don't know. I just so we open, we get the nervous stuff, which is fun and cool. We get the Doctor and Harry, and I love Harry. I love Ian Marter. I love Harry Sullivan, and they've got some great stuff. And we've got the plague and everything running around. Typical human reaction. Obviously, you killed these people. No, we didn't. And we get Cybermats, which, again, this was the first. My first Cybermat was the big, long, snake-looking thing. And now that I've been exposed to true Cybermen, or what I would consider to be true Cybermen, I don't like these. I like the other ones better. And we've got Kelman running around with this. He's obviously the bad guy, and he's got a radio in his brush, and he's got his, his super secret agent spy kit hidden in the drawer, which the Doctor happens to find the first place he looks. I liked the bit with him when he electrified the floor, and the Doctor has to get out of that. I thought that was cool. I thought it was weird that there were multiple times the Doctor could have pulled out a sonic screwdriver and didn't.
Right.
That he pulls out
when they were down in the caves with the bomb strapped to the back. I think I tweeted out, it's a shame none of them have a knife where they could just cut the straps.
Yeah, I thought that
bit
myself.
The buckle.
The only thing, because I thought that too, and the only thing that I'll allow for that is that it's a big, fabric belt, but it looks like it has one little thread of silver that runs up in it. And I wonder if that's a connecting wire. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let that one slide. But I thought the same thing. But he uses the I don't know, it's almost like an ice pick with a little curved handle. It's a dentist tool to take the screws manually out of that access port to get his arm in there.
That's kind of weird.
Which I thought was weird.
Well, then they make the point that later the one guy says, well, they're bolts, you have to take them out, but they're like locked. They're like a special bolt that you can't pull out with any average tool. He says unless you use a sonic resonator.
Right.
So that lends to the fact that he would have used the sonic screwdriver, but I saw him using a regular screwdriver.
It sure looked like a regular screwdriver. And then when he's rewiring the Cybermat, he's got that probe out there again, this big long thing, and I thought, why? This is one of those times when the sonic screwdriver would be acceptable use for this. Why are you not using it? So I didn't get that. And we get this whole the Vogan thing, which I agree with you. I kind of enjoy the political machinations that are going on, and the guys trying to, we've got to rise up from the surface. Here's where it gets muddled, and part of this is just the problem with the Cybermen in general, is we hearken back to this war, this great cyber war, and humanity discovered they were susceptible to gold, developed the glitter gun, and the rest, as they say, is history. I got no problem with that. Except for the Vogans, who live on the planet of gold and live in fear of the Cybermen, and have for millennia.
That
despite
is a major
the fact
problem.
That they are living on the greatest weapon the Cybermen could ever possibly go up against. Were you around for the war? Because
it seems like they weren't. Like they didn't know that gold was their weakness.
They make this grand allusion to the fact that we fought the Cybermen before and got our butts kicked, and so that's why we're hiding. But
that was the impression I got, though, is the fact that they had this war with the Cybermen, but it was before they came to Vogon, and that I don't think they knew what they were hiding in. The humans had figured it out, but I didn't get the impression the Vogons did, and that they knew what they had. You know what I mean? So,
well, for them, it's just a rock.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But still, it seems weird that because the Cybermen make
I remember this right. They weren't clear that the gold was deadly to the Cybermen until later, right?
At no point during the episode did the Vogons ever indicate that they were aware of the Cybermen, except the Cybermen made references to the fact that they lost the war because humans discovered the planet of gold,
right?
And that's why they're going to go blow it up. So if humans were on that planet mining it, wouldn't somebody pass that information on to the Vogons? Wouldn't they have been aware of that? It just the whole thing starts to unravel for me.
The Vogons have been hiding there. I guess.
Well, it's almost like this wasn't the planets. This was a moon.
Not to mention, the humans don't suspect the Cybermen are coming back either, though.
No.
So I think you're
I got the impression they weren't hiding from the Cybermen. They were hiding from humanity.
Just hiding in general.
They were just hiding in general
because their planet is so valuable.
But why were they
everybody else?
But that's just it. And why? Because
humans had
come there to mine the gold to fight the Cybermen, and apparently nobody bothered to tell them why. We just did our typical human thing. We showed up, we took all your stuff, and ran off with it.
Okay, I can see why that bothers you. That bothered me, but I can see why
there's a gaping hole there, and that is kind of the thread in the sweater that if you start to pull, not that the Cybermen have ever had a coherent beginning, middle, and end story
or
anyway.
ever wore sweaters.
Yeah, cyber sweaters. But it just when you start to look at this cyber war, it's like. I think that honestly, that's the problem I think we've had with the Cybermen all throughout Who is, with the exception of the handful of early episodes in the Hartnell era that I haven't seen, from Tomb of the Cybermen on, they are thought extinct. They are thought to be that they're, they're gone from the universe, that they are no more. And it's always a rogue band, it's always a remnant of this.
Sure.
Even though we've established that they're still around and that there are still fleets of them, but it's never the big threat that they used to be. And at the end of the story, they always blow up. We've killed all of them in existence again.
Right.
So
they suffer from the same fate as the Daleks.
Yeah, it's the same problem.
It's just,
but that's just it. With very few exceptions, when they blow up all the Daleks, I never believe they've blown up all of the Daleks.
Well,
they blew up all the Daleks that were present for this.
Yeah.
The Cybermen, they always kind of give you the impression that this is it. This is the entire, with the exception of the 5 Doctors, which was obviously a platoon that was brought in.
Well, thank you.
This is it.
Nightmare in Silver, for not allowing us to think that.
See, I got that impression in the end of that one, too.
You didn't see the little thing floating through space?
Well, yeah, the one head that survived.
Well,
the last Cyberman.
That's enough.
You saw what that head did in Big Bang Pandora?
After I'll get to that one.
All right.
But the Cybermen, it's almost like the Jedi. It's almost like that there's this remnant of this great society or great menace or great whatever you want to call it, and we never got to see them at their height. I would really like to see.
I would agree with that.
I would really like to see a Cyberman story set at the height of the cyber empire when these things are really
in
dangerous.
the middle of the cyber war where the tables haven't turned yet.
Yeah, I think Cyberman stories and Cyberman story writers kind of lust for the days of the former glory, and we still have never got it. And this one is almost a pathetic last gasp of, we're going to blow up this planet so that we can again go and fight a war. With who? You got like 3 guys on your spaceship and a whole boatload of bombs. You've got nothing.
They always do that. Though.
We're gonna blow up the planet. Okay, fine.
But doing something like that with Cybermen is much more believable than Daleks. Because
I'd agree with that.
They convert, they upgrade, they take whoever and make more. That's what they do. Yeah. So a handful could dominate the universe.
That's kind of the impression I got that they were coming from this. Even though it was a small handful, you blow up the gold, and the humans have no defense. It's only going to take 3 to start converting and upgrading and building your army.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's just like I said. And then Kelman, his whole, I'm here and I'm a double agent thing. That part really bothers me. Not so much from the...
I would agree Kelman is the weakest part of the story.
That's the weird thing.
Potentially the best part of the story, but ultimately the worst.
That's just it. He starts off and he's such an intriguing character, even though he's obviously the villain.
Yeah.
He kind of very much feels like Richard Attenborough's character in Flight of the Phoenix, where there's something off about this guy, but you can't put it on why. And he's a civilian, and he's on board this military station, and why? Oh, he's a scientist, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I've been down to Voga, and I said, dude, I don't trust you anymore. And so, okay, where are we going with this? And then he gets into it. It's like, all right, cool, he's working for the Cybermen. Knew it, called it. All right, cool. Oh, but no, he's a double agent. He's actually working for the Vogons, and he's going to blow up the Cybermen. Okay, cool. Hey, wait a minute.
You just wiped out a whole bunch of humans.
That was really necessary for the plan to work? You couldn't let the humans out? Nothing about his arc works.
Yeah,
Nothing about
agree.
it. And it just, I don't know, it just, the more I got into the story, the more it frustrated me, and I couldn't remember. This was, for some reason, my rose-colored glasses fell off. I couldn't remember why I liked this one so much. And this is the weird thing. Well, the things that a Whovian would normally complain about, the bad makeup on the Vogons or something like that didn't bother me. I'm fine with that. Glenn's having an attack. Are you right? Charlie horse?
He almost fell.
Wow.
Face forward.
I think it's interesting that we get the Vogan symbol, which is then
totally the
Time Lords went, hey, that's a good look. I think we'll steal that.
I think some set designer said, hey, that's a good look. I think I'll steal that.
Sean's not in the only camp on Fit his opinion. Did you watch the bonus features?
I didn't watch
the Tin Man and the Witch. Philip Hinchcliffe did not like the story either.
Oh, is that
Well,
right?
see, I feel justified now. Philip didn't like it. I've met Philip Hinchcliffe. If he didn't like it, I feel
Apparently,
justified.
this is one of those stories he inherited and felt had a lot of problems and didn't really have a lot to say. The director of it had a lot of nice things to say about the story.
Well, it's just it looks good. It's very competently made, and you know, I agree with you. I think the cave stuff looks fun and cool, and
It's different.
it's different. It kind of looks like Califrax, but it doesn't look like the standard.
We're going to try to make a cave in the studio.
It doesn't look like we
since
faked
they
it.
actually went and filmed in
Yeah,
caves.
it doesn't look like we faked caves, which I appreciated.
Like we did in the previous story of
Yeah.
Genesis. Hey, these caves look better.
So, you know, there was that. Again, going with Harry, I felt kind of bad in a way that Harry causes the cave-in that ultimately... Okay, yes, he, you know, not only knocked the doctor silly,
He is a bit bumbling.
he killed Kelman, which I don't remember happening.
Yeah.
He just, hey, I'm going to pull on this rock. Oh, there's a cave-in. Oh, you're dead. Oh, well. It's kind of like...
Good thing you were the bad guy. Well, sort of.
Well, Harry, what are you doing? I admire Sarah Jane all over again for beaming back up to Nerva to go warn the doctor and hearing the Cybermen plan. And what does she do? She lunges at one of them and starts
Yeah.
trying to beat him up. It's like, you go, girl. It just... But yeah, ultimately the whole thing just kind of the plot doesn't work, and it's a shame. This is very much one of those that there are moments that I like. I have always liked Nerva's crashing down on the planet, and we've got to pull out manual controls, and we get that, even though it's wobbly. That I thought was a really cool effect of the planetoid just spinning uncontrollably on the view screen, and the doctor's trying to pull the craft up, and you know I love that.
Yeah.
That's totally awesome. But, yeah, ultimately, for me, the sum is not greater than the parts. And the Cybermen just, I don't know, didn't do it for me. I love the headpieces. I love the design of these Cybermen with being able to shoot out of the little
Yeah.
things
With the
on
guns on the head.
I love how we. That's it. The only thing about the Cybermen I can say is their method of weaponry seems to change all the time, but
They're
the beauty of
constantly
it,
upgrading.
the beauty of it is, and I think Nightmare and Silver sort of hit this one out of the park, was that they're just constantly upgrading and finding better ways to do things.
Did you know this? It's one of the few Doctor Who releases to be released on Laserdisc.
I'll be done. Sean will be looking for that now.
So part of me wants to say I might have owned it once upon a time. I could just be confused because of the cover, which is
The
definitely...
cover is definitely the VHS
The
cover,
VHS
because I
cover.
borrowed that from you too in that run. That's what it looked like.
One interesting tidbit that I looked up, Kevin Stoney, who played, what was his name? Tyrum? He played the elderly, which he sounded so familiar. I kept thinking he really sounds like the, what was his name in Planet of the Apes? The head.
Xeris?
Xeris. Not Xeris. The head honcho that was fighting against him and telling them that he was going to, you know...
Professor Xeris.
Was it Professor Xeris? Okay, well, whoever, the yellow one.
The orangutan?
Yes. I
Pretty
thought
sure
it was
that was
him.
Xeris.
I thought it was him. It's not. But you know who he was. He played in a previous Cyberman episode of Doctor Who. He was Tobias Vaughn.
Oh, I'll be there.
He also...
Zaius.
Zaius.
Zaius
That's what it
is
is.
how it is.
He also played Mavic Chen in the Daleks' Master Plan, all the way back in
I knew that
65.
Tobias Vaughn and Mavis Chin was the same. I didn't realize that this was the same character.
So there's that little nugget of fun information for you.
Anything else about the story?
Nah,
Yeah.
still good. Holds up.
I enjoyed it.
All right, next is Nightmare and Silver.
Nightmare and Silver.
No synopsis this week. No synopsis on the new episodes.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hey. Oh, I'll give it a bum, bum, bum.
I would agree with Glenn.
Best
I knew you
episode
would.
of this series.
I knew you would.
Best
I
episode.
agree.
The second half of the series.
Of the
anyway,
second
for sure.
half.
Best episode. I knew you'd know that. I knew you'd think that because it was Cybermen and they were actually cool. And when the Cybermen can impress me, and I sat there and went, wow, I bet Keith really liked this episode.
Oh, there was so much good in this story. So much good. From Matt Smith's portrayal of the Doctor and the Cyberplaner and everything where that goes.
The chess metaphor, the actual plane of the chess. I love that.
Well, and the setup of this is the Cybermen playing chess. Oh, look, it's actually porridge. I mean, it ties back in perfectly. Yeah, it's so good. The idea that the Cybermen are constantly upgrading, they don't have to go back and redo something, like the stepping in the moats and electricity. Upgrade complete. They've adapted themselves. That is such a cool idea.
Since you hit there, that's the beauty of these Cybermen. That's what I like about this.
That's what Cybermen should be. That makes them menacing.
Stephen Moffat says, or Neil Gaiman says, we're going to bring back the Cybermen. Stephen Moffat says, well, I don't know. And Gaiman says, I can make them scary. Or Moffat says, you need to make them scary. Make them scary again. That's what this episode did. Now, I don't say scary in the fact that I was behind the sofa or I was,
No.
That doesn't happen to me. And I've explained that process with me before. However, they were more of an intimate threat this time. They weren't just walking around. They weren't bumbling. I was always the fact that they were continuing to upgrade, which is what the Cybermen need to do, because they are basically walking computers with organic, parts inside of them. And the fact that when the one was ran through the room and bulleted through the room.
Oh, that part was so cool.
I was like, okay, yay, we're no longer the lumbering, marching Cybermen. Now, I don't have a problem with the not walking silent. We had a horde of Cybermen that were fearless. There was no reason for them to sneak up on
when
the
you
castle.
have an army, you don't need to be stealthy.
So that's where we're doing it. I don't care that they
which
weren't walking
almost
silent.
adds, in my mind, more fear to the
it's
people
a little
that
more of a regiment, Yeah, exactly.
It adds to the fear of the people cowering in the castle.
Sure.
There's this bleep ton of Cybermen coming at us, and we have 5 shots and a bunch of hand repulsors.
Yeah. So upgrading the defenses when they walk through them, when the one walks into the water and the moat, and the fact that they all, they have
start adapting to the gun.
They have a hive mind connectivity that all of them are going to start to upgrade. I like that. That made the Cybermen more menacing this time, and I think that was handled very well. My only problem with this episode, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun all the way through. I didn't have a problem with the Misfit Army because they kind of explained that away as to why they're there, or what's going on. I get the impression that they've just been recruiting everybody. So you're not going to have.
The cyber war lasts for 1,000 years.
Exactly.
You're going to run out of soldiers.
So you're not going to have the creme de la creme. You're not going to have time to put everybody through basics. So what happens is you get the few screw-ups or misfits or whatnot, and this is where they have all ended up because of who they are. And so I like that idea. I like that the way they're put together. And it really almost was a Neil Gaiman comic book, because you had the really heavy guy. You had the tall, gangly, red-headed guy with the curly hair. They were all really caricatures of these people. And so it kind of had a comic bookish feel without going over the top and making them very comedic or very, very, very bumbling. They were what they were, but they weren't over the top. And so that was really cool. The thing that I don't like is what most people have pointed to, and I think the kids are just a little too much, and they almost
her more so than him.
And what makes it even worse is, that's the problem, is he's underutilized because he's a more likable character, and she's overdone because she's this over the top emo emotional teenager.
Almost before they left at the very end, I thought to myself, why did you even come along?
I thought the same thing, and what makes it more annoying than anything was last week's setup, because it was like they basically approach Clara about this information and almost like blackmail her into getting on board, and then none of that is discussed. Or it was like the doctor was happy to have him there, and it was just wonderful fun. It wasn't.
He thought it was going to be an amusement park.
That's true, but there was no addressing the in between there. So
it almost needed a prequel.
I had hoped there would be a prequel that would have kind of let us in on what happens between Clara going to the doctor and saying, "Oh, we've got a problem here." Well, what's the problem? Well, the kids have figured this out. Well, then what do? And the doctor comes up with some clever plan to say, well, let's take them and distract them. Let's take them to an amusement park. We'll give them what they want, and then we'll bring them home, and everybody will be happy. I would have loved that little step in between, and I have to presume that's what happened.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that. It was almost like they said, like Moffat said, well, I'd like for the children to, go along. And as somebody pointed out, Gaiman said, okay, I'll figure something out to do with the kids. I don't know. It seemed weird the way that it was set up.
Either that, or he wrote the kids into it, and they kind of had to figure out a reason to get the kids on the TARDIS.
Yeah. That's probably what
that almost seems more like
because I mean, kids have to be the threat because the Doctor has to have a reason to do what he does in the chess game.
And Clara has to have
a reason in order for it to be resolved, to be the leader, to do what she does. So it wasn't that the children were unnecessary; they were necessary, but the characters themselves were just I didn't care so much for them. But overall, I absolutely love Warwick Davis. I did not see the twist coming.
Me neither.
As much as it was cheesy and a throwback to old Doctor Who, I loved the golden ticket bit. I didn't see that coming. We've got a golden ticket. Look, we can ride all the rides, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it's decimated, so it's not going to do us any good except for when he realizes I need it and puts it on his face. Now, unfortunately, we've complained about the fact that, gold dust works because it gets inside, it melds together, and it causes a problem with the breathing apparatus. Perfectly explainable. However, as Doctor Who went on, gold just started becoming this kryptonite that they were allergic to. And so this lends to that whole idea that they just are allergic to gold or it disrupts their system or whatever. Sticking it on your face should bother me, going, I cry foul, but I love the fact that he did it, and it played in. It worked. And Gaiman recognized that, we've gotten out of control with this gold being effective to Cybermen, but I'm going to go with it. And it was a fantastic way to do it and to nod back to classic Who in such a way that it didn't really cheapen the idea of the gold. It just kind of
agreed.
It just played on the humor of it all.
I was able to almost rationalize it away as for some reason, since he's not fully converted and just kind of partially. The cybernetics is using the skin as a conductor to communicate with each other, and the gold interrupts that. It redirects it through the gold.
I knew I could count on you to come up with a word.
That's how I rationalized it. It doesn't either make sense, but it works for me.
I like the fact that we've acknowledged that these are our world Cybermen. I mean, just simply by saying the cybernetic war and the fact that they're here, and that's great.
That's all you needed was a mention of the cyber wars and that.
We don't have to deal with Pete's World Cybermen anymore. Cybermen are official.
Although they were here.
I do like.
Did you notice that in his collection of the three
one
Cybermen?
One of them was.
You pointed that out last week, or you pointed that out. You saw that we saw a picture. I didn't see it.
I pointed out that I was noticing the one at the chessboard. Just said it was the old style. Not so much.
It was the old style.
I didn't notice.
I didn't notice
a chess.
I didn't notice a thing on any of them.
The one at the table was an our world Cyberman. One of the other ones that he pulls the cover off and he says, "Well, I have 3 in my collection." Had the Cybus Industries stamp on.
Well, that's probably a nod to the fact that we do recognize that there's.
And according to
Cybermen.
Well, where is this? According to Neil Gaiman, where did I just see that? Gaiman's explanation: the Cybus Cybermen and the Mondas Cybermen joined together to upgrade themselves into the new look Cybermen.
Oh, okay.
I
buy that.
Sense, yeah.
Although there weren't
I like the new.
Still doesn't explain how the Cybus Cybermen got there, but
right.
we'll go on.
They dropped one of the many that dropped through the crack, just like they did in the next Doctor.
Exactly. I had a lot of fun. This episode moves from beginning to end. In fact, this was the first episode that I watched that I went, it's over? I mean, I enjoy all of the episodes. I have all season, but there are lulls in some of the episodes where you're going, okay, this feels like 45 minutes. And this one, I was so engrossed in the story. I don't know what else to say. It's just it was fun. It was fantastic. It was witty. The Doctor was fantastic. Matt Smith was great doing both roles. Clara was very, very independent and very, very convincing as a commander.
This is probably the episode of Series 7.B or 0.5 or B, whatever you want to call it, that I would go back to the most. Not just because it's Cybermen,
I think
that
I'd
it's
go back
just
and watch
so
this one as well.
enjoyable.
It is.
And part of it, I
fun.
think, is Warwick Davis. He does such a good job, and it's not one of those like David Warner was, where it was just kind of it could have been anybody.
Right, exactly.
He owned that role
He
so
did own
much,
that role.
and it was a great use of quote unquote celebrity casting.
Well, it's funny because I see Warwick Davis in a lot of things, and I've never said, "Oh, he's a fantastic actor," because he's really a character actor, and he's always typecast. And in everything that I see, even Leprechaun, when
Typically, he's
doing
under some sort of makeup.
well, that's
unless
just
it's,
it. But when he's
Willow.
doing Leprechaun and he's doing the, Leprechaun, I mean, anybody can kind of do that sort of role and just be evil and vicious and gross. And Willow, I think, is the closest thing to anything that I've seen where I really went, wow, that was a fantastic job as just an actor. But this one, he just shined. He proved that he is more than just a character actor and does not have to be hired based on his stature or size. And the nice thing about this is that they did use the height thing, but more of as a revelation that a lot of times emperors are sort of made to look nicer or made to look better or made taller.
There's Napoleon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of so, but he didn't have to be a tiny man in order to do that, and so he came across as I'd nominate this kid for an Emmy. He was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought he did a great job. Or a BAFTA, maybe. You might have a better chance getting a BAFTA.
And I don't know about you guys, but I also liked the little bit at the end where he was like, "It's lonely being an emperor. Clara, you're amazing."
Yeah, I love the fact that
he proposes, and the doctor tries to, and she's like, "No, I've got this."
Yeah, that was nice.
There's just so little.
Were there shades of Perry there that he was maybe concerned about, or Joe for that matter?
Yeah. Perry especially, but yeah.
Spoilers, Keith. I went into this so looking forward to it, and
Brian Bliss. Sorry.
when's he coming back? It's Neil Gaiman.
I'm starting
it's
to
got
campaign to
Cybermen.
get Stephen Fry into it.
I was so excited, and it
Sorry,
opened.
I'm still on my man crush right now.
We're in this amusement park, very Neil Gaiman. That's a Neil Gaiman idea. This is the weird thing. Everybody wrote in, "Oh, the kids were the worst part of this. Kids were terrible. The kids have been dragged along for the last couple of days."
I don't think they were terrible. But
I kind of got the impression it's like, everybody almost feels like it. just from reading the feedback and some of the things that I've seen online, it almost feels like there's a missing episode in here that was all kid adventure and everybody hates them.
They've all done something to offend us.
It's like I did. I had to go back and look. Did I miss a week in finals that was an episode that I haven't watched yet? No, they just showed up a little bit last week, which I thought was cute, and I like the idea of them coming and tagging along. I was all right with them. I agree that I'm tired of the "you ruin everything, why do you have to be here" angst.
That's my problem.
It's the
I didn't
angst
have a
of
problem
being a
with them being
teenager.
there. It
Yeah,
was
well,
just
angst of being a teenager whose mother's not there, who's taking it out on somebody who doesn't deserve it.
Right.
I can honestly say I've been on the receiving end of that, and so it felt very old. But other than that, it didn't bother me that the kids were there. I felt it was appropriate. Plus, Gaiman likes to put kids in danger, so come on.
What's the deal with these kids arrive on this planet? It's not what they expect. They go in and they see this quirky man's collection and play chess with a Cyberman, and then something's amiss, so the doctor needs to check it out. So they're going to take a nap. What kid says, "Okay, I'll lay down"? Now,
I'll take a nap in this creepy
they
place.
did get up.
They didn't listen.
And didn't listen. They did wander off. But on the flip side of that, there's no kid that's not going to protest to a nap as long as they were tired.
At
That's
their
why
age.
I hope there's an adventure in between the two stories, and they were just pretty tuckered out by the time they got here.
I was under the impression that it wasn't
my
the
4-year-old
nap.
nephew refuses to take a nap.
I don't think it was a nap. I think it was we've been on the jumping moon simulator all day long after playing chess with the Cybermen.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
They probably
We're
going to
stay here overnight.
Yeah, they probably have explored a good chunk of the park that still works, at this point,
or doesn't,
and are just tired now.
Okay,
that's how I rationalize that away. But
I forgot they did do the simulator thing.
Maybe it's become night and they're just going to sleep over.
We don't know how long they were on that thing. They might have been zero G bouncing all day.
Was it weird to anybody else that nobody else was bouncing but the two?
They were kind of all standing back off over here.
It just didn't seem
and you
like
could tell
they were
it was
far
a
enough
set
away
because there's one wall that just looks like the back lot of a movie studio.
Oh, that was kind of weird when they show up and he says, "No, I'm pretty sure it's the moon," and it's like all of a sudden,
but there's a wall right behind you, a solid wall.
Soldiers come rushing out of everywhere, and it's like, okay, you were just staring in this direction, so you could see that wasn't a moon, dummy.
Or the fact that they didn't have a spacesuit on.
Yeah. You just walked out of a magic box bigger on the inside than the out that time travels in space.
You still need a spacesuit.
No
on the moon.
spacesuit wouldn't have even
I
phased me.
love the fact that Neil Gaiman starts them out with on a set of the moon and almost trying to fool us that they've landed on the moon, especially since the Cybermen's first story was 10th Planet, which takes place on the moon,
And another
we
another
had
name
another
drop.
nod to the moon base.
When she says it's like a
I
moon
thought the
base
10th
or
yeah,
something.
I thought
exactly.
the 10th planet took place on a different...
I thought
on the 10th
planet
planet.
takes place on Mondos.
No. Mondos is coming, and the Cybermen invade the moon base in order to the moon, the base on the moon that the humans have set up.
I think you're transposing two different episodes.
No,
The moon base is set on the moon. The 10th
Yeah,
planet
moon base
is
is
Mondos,
also set on the
isn't
moon.
it?
No.
Why would they
10th
follow up with
the 10th
both?
planet is this planet that comes in that they don't
Right, it's
realize it's been
Mondos.
hiding. Yes, but the events take place
South
on
Pole.
the moon. Oh, it is the South Pole. That's right. It is at the
Okay.
South Pole.
So he's still
The moon
trying to
base is on
invoke
the moon.
of the
Yeah,
moon base,
that's right,
regardless.
that's right.
Your
Right,
point
right,
is
I,
still valid.
I, that's right. It was.
You're just going to the wrong one.
The moon part of the 10th planet was the fact that we couldn't see the 10th planet because it was hidden by the moon. That's right. That's what I was getting confused. You're right. The moon base is on the moon. You're right.
So it does invoke that same idea
Yes,
still.
yes.
The absolute best parts.
Although when
of
they
this,
land there, I have to admit, I saw the flag and I went, there's not rocks like that around that flag on the moon. I've seen that shot before.
this is one of the other landing sites.
No, they've only planted one flag.
Oh, really? They didn't all plant flags?
That's just
Oh, all right. Yeah, the absolute best part of this is the Cybermen adapting. And I'm sorry, Neil, he took a page right out of Star Trek. As somebody said, these are the Borg. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what they needed to be.
That's what
when
they
the
needed to
doctor
be,
says
yeah.
you've only ever taken over humans before, and they said, yeah, but we don't have to do that anymore. It's like, okay, now you're a legitimate threat.
Right,
You have
exactly.
suddenly elevated yourself back out of the doldrums of Revenge of the
Exactly.
Cybermen, and I'm ready to accept you seriously now. And the speed, although it was a little weird because it was not explained, it's just all of a sudden this is a new thing they can do.
But it's an
I'm going to
upgrade.
roll.
It's an upgrade.
I'm just
It's a
going to roll with it.
Cyberman. They can do whatever.
Like I said,
This is the first.
I'm going to roll with it.
This is the first Windows 7 version of the Cybermen, where they finally started to get things right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a Mac fan, but I have hated most of the versions of Windows because the upgrades were just horrible. XP was getting there. 7 is finally there. Now, 7 is not without its flaws, but 7, Vista was just horrid. But 7 is finally there, and this is the Windows 7 of Cybermen. They're finally getting things right, and they're finally advancing.
I'm just curious. What was you mentioned several? What was the definitive best version of Windows?
The 7 is
Before
the
7 came out? What was
Well,
the
I
good?
would-
What was the good version? Before
Well,
7
I would say
came?
3.2 is the best version prior to that. Well, listen. No,
Okay. I never did 3.2. I
can't
did
go back.
3.11.
Oh, well, I can't go back. Well, 3.11. The
They're pretty
threes
much
in
the
there.
same?
Yeah. The thing is, the 3.2 version was really kind of the first version of Windows that, you know, we stepped out of the DOS. We weren't as reliant on that. 3.1, 3.2, they were the ones that really kind of revolutionized PCs. Now, Macintosh was already sort of doing that. In fact, Windows kind of stole the idea, but Windows did it better and did the interface more computer friendly. So that made computers. In fact, that's when the boom happened of personal computing.
I tried to go back to 3.11 after I got 98.
That's what I'm saying. Is that was the best thing we had in personal computing at the time, and then they continued to try to improve on that. And Windows 95 was a stepping stone, and Windows 97 was a stepping stone, and Windows ME was they had these little things, but they always had these quirks. And the problem is they would change things around so much that it was like, why did you take the good things away from what we liked and added this other crud, but you didn't give us this good stuff back? You made some improvements, but you took all the other good things away from it. So we're not adding to the good things. We're just putting different good things in there. And so that's why I say up through the years, we've done that. And Windows 7 finally said, hey, this is what worked in XP, and this is what we did better with Vista, and they made Windows 7. And that was what I'm saying. That's the.
Oh, I was just curious which was the.
Yeah, only
better.
because it was. Don't get me
innovative.
wrong, 95 is better than 3.2 in the user interface, but what I'm saying is 95 took away a lot of things that, 3.2 did. That's the point.
Tangent.
It was just stagnant because they were bringing up new things, but they were taking away the things that we liked or worked in the past. Well, this is the Windows 7 of Cybermen. We're finally getting things right and progressing and doing better. Anyway, I really got off the tangent there, so I'm back. We're talking Nightmare in Silver.
Gutters. You notice I didn't weigh in on that?
Not Nightmares in Microsoft.
So the Cybermen are the best part of this, so that they show them with these upgrades and that these abilities to fix and adapt so much faster and so much easier, which is one of the things that has always made the Borg scary, that you're only going to get a couple of shots with this weapon before they figure out how to, and then you've got to come up with something else. Right. That's something I've always liked about that. So bringing them into that, and it makes sense. I mean, for being such a similarly, ally of this, it's like, okay, that's fine, that works. I like the fact that the Cybermen. I didn't. There was a part of me that didn't like the idea of them being so much more robotic, as opposed to a person encased in here.
There was
with
a
being
lot of
able to remove the head and the hands falling off and doing other things. Again, it works for the
That's a good
Cybermen.
point.
It makes them more menacing, but it does fundamentally, for me, kind of change who this villain is.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm still okay with it. But overall, there were just a lot of plot holes.
I think if it weren't for Pandorica and the movement of the Cybermen without a body in it, we wouldn't be able to do this the way they did this week.
I would agree with that, but it gives you the impression,
the head was trying to find a new body, but the rest of the body was moving on its own.
Here's the thing, though, Sean, that I think you have to look at for this one as well, is that was only that one particular Cyberman that was doing it, and I get the impression that was the Cyberman that he's expressing from Pandorica Opens, where it didn't have a human in it. It was really kind of all the cybernetics of itself.
Just the armor.
And so it was able to do that. But had you taken one of the masses that were entombed, that really had probably a human in it that had upgraded, it probably couldn't have done the head trick. So I think that's the point there.
Is it maybe that this was one of the museum pieces?
Yes, exactly. And that's what that was the impression I got. So
again, I'm the guy that wrote Cyberman Bob, so I'm not. I'm not going to fault anybody on it, because it was cool and it made him scary again. But there for me, I thought there were several plot holes. For one, okay, so this amusement park planet, we're led to believe, is one of the tombs. They never really explained it. Just all of a sudden, we've got 10,000 Cybermen that show up. So I'm assuming they were under the planet somewhere.
He said they were entombed, and they would be.
He said they used the amusement park to do repairs. On that they took over this planet. That's why the amusement park is in disarray.
Right.
So the Cybermen could do repairs. So it makes sense that there also would have tombs there
they
too.
set up a tomb there once they got there.
Did that happen before or after the amusement park closed down?
I think it's because
I think that was the reason.
Well, here's my problem.
Yeah, I think the Cybermen
now.
were the reason
it
shut down.
This amusement park is the biggest, grandest in the galaxy. It's this whole planet. Blah blah blah. If the Cybermen invaded, you'd heard about that, right? Wouldn't that be kind of news?
Well, they did.
They silently invaded Earth at one point. They silently invaded. No, seriously.
Well, it's known that they
have always silently invaded.
They used this planet to. Where is it? I had.
And the Doctor he throws away some line about the people that went missing from the. It's like, so you knew this was going on, but people still came to the park. I mean, if this was a regular thing, hey, 10% of all guests that go to Disney World don't come home. You know what? I might not go to Disney World.
I don't get the impression it was that many, but
but the Doctor knew about it. That's what I mean. It's just one of those things that. It was a dropped line that tried to fix this issue, but created another one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if the Cybermen came while the park was in operation and stole people from the park, I don't understand. This must have happened during the Cyber War, and they've been entombed for thousands of years.
Okay.
In which case,
so maybe they set up the amusement park on a world where the Cybermen already had tombs.
That's the other solution, is that, okay, so the Cybermen were already entombed there, and they set the museum up on the park, and then every now and then, like a Morlock would go to the surface and snatch a kid and go back down.
That was that's more the impression.
Okay, that's a little more acceptable. But the problem with that now is you're telling me you built this gigantic amusement park and never stumbled across a Cyberman tomb? And Disney World's got an entire sub-basement. There's like 3 floors under the pavement.
Look how far it was in the tomb.
There might be Cybermen in the sub-basement that Disney didn't realize that he was building on top of the basement.
I just when you pinged the planet, the excavation, the radar, nothing came up about that. They've just been down there, and then every now and then they wake up. They don't.
When did you become Mr. Super Picky?
No, he
did.
This is Glenn's role.
No, it seems like the last 8 weeks he's been able to pick apart something about every episode.
I've been defending the episodes for the last 8 weeks. I have. I liked episodes that you absolutely hated.
Saint Bells of Saint
John.
You picked that apart. That was one of the best. That was so far was my best. My favorite episode.
The difference is you and I have just been on complete polar opposites.
I
defended
Akaton.
We all kind of defended Akaton.
We all did on that one. What was after that?
Cold War.
You picked apart Cold War.
I didn't pick apart Cold War. I liked Cold War.
Actually, I picked apart Cold War.
I said Cold War wasn't as good as everybody else made it out to be.
Yeah, you picked apart High.
That was so enjoyable. I loved High.
No, you picked apart High.
You picked apart High.
I was one that didn't enjoy High as much. All right, never mind then.
Sean did pick apart Journey.
I did pick apart Journey. But I liked Crimson Horror. And I was the only person at the table.
No, I liked it.
No, you didn't like it as much as I did. I don't know. Like I said, underwhelmed is kind of.
I had Kirk's reaction to Silver Nemesis or Revenge of the Nightmare in Silver. That Kirk's reaction to Nightmare in Silver was my reaction to Crimson Horror. While it was solid, there was no real standout points to Crimson Horror.
I think that's just okay. So where did the Cybermites come from? They crawled up out of the sub basement. That was one of the evolutions.
We never get an explanation
Cybermen.
where any of the Cybermen, the Mats, come from either.
Well, but
they've been sent there by the Cybermen. What else do you need?
Where? We've been extinct for thousands of years.
Obviously, they're awake. They've been kidnapping people from the planet and causing the amusement park to shut down. Circular logic, Sean.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I just don't. I don't know. There's little problems with it that I just had issues with, and okay.
I gotta ask you guys. When the cyber planner, I think it was him. There was sometimes it was hard to tell who was who. Was the cyber planner that said that went doctor. Was that
when we got the?
If we'd have gotten a flash into the brain there, would we have seen all 10 doctors working together with 11? Is that what's the impression they gave?
Maybe because we did get the flash of we saw.
Yeah, we did earlier,
which was cool.
But I'm trying to find the. Talk amongst yourself. I'm trying to get the point in the episode where they do that because it was curious that.
I loved the chess analogy. I loved the which again for some reason seems like a very Neil Gaiman device. I don't know why. I love the fact that Clara is finally given something to do. Because we've kind of said that she seems very unnecessary for the most part, and that the Doctor could be going on these adventures without her. Now, the unfortunate truth of that is that this is, in one way, another one of those episodes. Because if the Doctor didn't have Clara, the kids wouldn't have been along. He wouldn't have had to lose the game in order to distract the thing with the.
Well, he wouldn't. In theory, wouldn't even been there to begin with.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I assume he could have beaten the chess playing Cybermen at chess.
Maybe.
I mean, he did play the other...
Apparently Time Lords did invent chess.
Well, he did play that one dwarf like 5,000 games of live chess in order to get the information. So
okay, here we go. What you guys?
I found it. Let me this. The Doctor says, "What are you doing?" And the cyber doctor, the cyber planner says, Doctor. I'm pulling an extra processing power. So I get the impression he was like pulling from all of the Doctor's subconscious incarnations. 3 million cyber brains are working on one tiny chess problem. How long do you think it's going to take us to solve it? And the Doctor says, that's cheating. He says, no, it's just pulling in local resources. And then...
So is that because Matt Smith had already pulled?
That's what I was wondering.
Doctor,
if he was,
to all work on the
and
chess
if we
problem
had
on his
gone
side?
in there, if we had gone in there, if it would have been all of them working on the same chess problem, he would just pull all of the reserves at the same time.
What did you guys think of the implication that the Doctor could have regenerated at any time he wanted
5, 6,
during
7,
that?
8. But there's only 8. He only says Doctor 8 times. So, sorry, say that again.
What did you think of the implication where he says that line of the Doctor could regenerate at will and cause all the cybernetics to come off?
I think he said exactly that.
He pretty much did.
He implied it very heavily.
He implied that he could. And wow, way to go, Neil Gaiman, for screwing up yet another regeneration myth. No, I have no problem with it because we've already established that Romana can regenerate at will. So I just think the Doctor has chosen not to. And as he points out, it would be a waste of this. But
see, I almost got the impression that because of the implants, it jeopardized. It possibly could jeopardize his life, and so he's holding back the regeneration.
I think if
that's how I at least took it.
I think if it had been one of those situations that if he honestly believed that there was no other way out other than to regenerate, and that would have solved the problem, I think he would have done it. Quite honestly. It would have been built up a little bit bigger because it would have been a season finale or something. I don't know. Again, so many parts of this worked. Can't say enough good things about Warwick Davis. The whole twist there at the end with him being the Emperor was fantastic. I love the fact that he asks Clara to marry him and that she declines but puts him down very gently. I like the fact that the bomb, whatever you do, don't blow up the planet. Well, I know how this baby's ending. It's just, we destroyed the detonator. Don't believe you. Oh, I killed the woman that had the voice activated code. Doesn't matter. This whole planet is doomed. It's just a question of who's getting off in time. I really want to know what is in this castle. What was the name of the castle?
Hedwig?
No,
that was the planet.
Oh, that was the planet. You're right.
I don't have that page in front of me anymore.
I want to know what castle is, what ride was that. It's just funny. But, I liked the design of the new Cybermen. I liked the fact they were able to upgrade. I did all well. The problem that I had is that, in typical Cybermen fashion, we've got this entire army at your doorstep, and then, we blew up the planet. So they all died, except for the one Cybermite. So we've kind of hit the reset button again, and we're back to square one, that there is no credible threat of Cybermen lurking around in the universe, it doesn't feel like.
There's one head that went floating.
Well,
it wasn't even a head, it was a Cybermite. It was a little tiny beep, beep, beep with a light on it.
No, it wasn't.
It was a big chunk, and it had one Cyberman eye, and like a blue dot that was still bleeping, and it was
like its
spinning
chest
in
and
space.
part of its head.
It was a Cybermite.
No, it wasn't.
Regardless of whatever it was, it's not a credible threat to the universe at this point.
Well, at this point, it's not. But the
you know
point
why?
was...
Because it has to join up with something fleshy to go after it, and then it has to bring more parts together, and then it has to go rebuild a second one, and then it has to go find another two.
I'm sorry, listeners, that Sean hated this story.
I didn't hate the story.
He did. He hated
this story.
He has been spewing
Natty Longshoe's Comical
negative
Castle.
things this whole time.
Natty Longshoe's Comical Castle.
Natty Longshoe's Comical Castle, I think, is the most genius name for anything ever. I didn't hate the story.
Because
I
he
hated the
liked that.
Cybermen. That's the problem. I was so excited that they were going to be awesome, and they were for about 5 seconds, and then they all died.
It's the same problem as any Dalek story.
Agreed.
And the resolution of any Dalek story.
No, it's not the same thing because the Cybermen are actually cool.
Well, that's true, but the resolution of a Dalek story, they all blow up. That's how you think.
Not always. Usually. Sometimes they get away.
Oh, we got an All in Z. I forgot about that.
And a
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. Hello, Flesh Girl. Fantastic on the Cyber Planner. Doctor? I'm working with the mouth now. All on Z.
The fact that she...
Oh, you should see the state of these neurons.
Keeps
he had
slapping
some
him.
cowboys in here. 10 complete rejects.
The fact that the cyber planner tries to confess his love for
that was genius.
Clara, and she slaps him and knows it's not true. Yeah. That was fantastic. And then later, am I pretty? And then,
no, you're short.
You're short. You're bossy, and your nose looks funny.
Okay, that'll do.
Did anybody else think that was a really, really, really nice despite what Stephen Moffat has said about this love triangle between him
Oh,
and River, it was kind of
totally
like
destroys the
no.
idea. Yeah,
It's
puts
never
it in
come
the
across
ground.
that way either this
Well, I
season.
kept wondering
So
where
it
they
was
were
nice
going
to
with
have
that.
It was nice to have that final.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
For me, that was a nail
Although
on the
the
coffin.
prequel kind of makes me.
I think it's a different kind of love that they're talking
I
about in
hope
the prequel.
so. I hope so. All right.
I don't know. I just once again, I feel
I'm tired of hearing you bash this
I'm not
episode
bashing
because
this
I loved
episode.
it. It was so fun. What's next on the schedule?
He keeps trying to bash it, and he keeps saying what he loves
that's
about the
true,
story.
but he keeps backpedaling too. So
No, I'm not backpedaling.
we're going to.
What, this is
I
a-
like this and this and this, but something just doesn't feel right. But I like this and this and this, but something doesn't feel right.
So it set up one more step in the overall arc of Clara that didn't go anywhere, and I think maybe that is.
Oh,
That's
but
purposeful, I thought,
no, it didn't get touched on in the story, but it's going to come in heavy next week. That the cyber planner reveals to her what she learned in Journey to the Center of the TARDIS that was taken away from her. The cyber planner tells her that she was twice dead.
Yeah,
And that he's with her because it's a mystery.
He does reveal
That is huge development.
He
And
does.
you know that sticks with her the entire time after that comment. She knows that's not just the cyber planner playing with her.
That's true.
Maybe
That was another great part of this story.
Maybe it's just that I'm unused to Doctor Who
Why am I the
telling
impossible
an
girl?
arc this way.
It's just a thing in my head. I'll explain.
That could be.
was when
Does that make sense? Because when we set out to do the River Song arc, we got movement on the story as the season went on.
No,
It
sometimes,
doesn't
not
feel
always.
but we did.
Curse of the Black Spot. No
When-
movement.
When there was River Song story arc, it was River Song story arc. This doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like.
But
it's.
just
that's
because
just
she's
it.
there doesn't mean it's
That's
story
just
arc.
it. This feels like we've set up the mythology arc, but then didn't do any mythology stories. It feels like Monster of the Week every week, but we're still trying to deal with this big arc thing.
I don't see it any different than the crack.
Wait.
It's the exact same as the crack.
Wait, because all three of us before Series 7 were saying, I'd really like to see this next series be Monster of the Week.
And I'm fine with that. I would love it if they didn't set it up with this.
And what did
the
I
impossible
say?
girl,
And
this
what
big
did
mystery.
I say? I said there's going to be a small.
And what did I
amount
say?
of-
I don't want it.
We're both getting what we wanted, is what we're getting. I said there's going to have to be some sort of small thread that they will weave through for the entire series, but they won't focus on as heavily. What they need to do is do Monster of the Week, and that's exactly what we're getting. And now you're complaining about not getting the mystery.
Because they set up the mystery. If you, this is just it. If they had given us Clara and said, "Here's a girl down the road,"
They gave us a thread, Sean.
That's just
to
it.
work
Same
everything
thing.
together. They don't have to address it every week. That's what I got sick of in Series 6. I got sick of that.
It's going back to more Series 5 style.
Dressing.
but it doesn't feel like it. I don't understand why we've got this thread that we're going. He's obsessing about it. There's 5 minutes of obsessing about the impossible girl every week, but we never go anywhere with it. That's the part that's frustrating me. Don't give me some choice. Yeah, well, good.
No, because we can still not resolve it and take it into the 50s.
No, maybe
they're
I'll
not
like,
going to, but they could.
Maybe I'll like Clara more at that point because I'm still kind of on the fence with her. I love the Monster of the Week stuff. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy that. But we've got this other shoe waiting to drop. There's something hanging over the season that is not there yet.
That's funny.
If they addressed it and said, we're going to talk about this and we're going to have this thing and this is leading up to this, then that's one thing. But just to ignore it until that happens.
This is exactly something that should bother me about this season, but it doesn't. And I've been enjoying the ride knowing that the other shoe will drop. And that's the beauty of this
the
season.
thing. We know it's going to drop. We know when it's going to drop.
You keep reminding me that the shoe is in the air, which is fine with me now, and then eventually it's going to drop. It's so I don't like lose sight of it, and then at the end of the day, oh yeah, that's right. We haven't answered the question. All along I'm going, yeah, we're still going to answer the
except for the crack. We haven't really answered that yet.
We're still going to answer the question.
See, that's the difference between this season and last season, where last season the arc and carry through was heavy-handed.
It was heavy-handed.
This season it's not.
It's not. And I agree.
Last season was
some
very
previous
X-Files.
stuff.
X-Files set up a season where they would do, okay, here's the mythology story, and then here's Monster of the Week, Monster of the Week, Monster of the Week. Here's another mythology two-parter. Here's a Monster of the Week, Monster. That's what season 6 felt like.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're going to establish that that's how you're playing. the rules of this season still haven't been set. It still very much feels to me like it's a state of flux because we've been told one thing, we've been shown something else.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cookie cutter the
I'm
series.
not asking you to cookie
and he
cutter
hasn't
the
done
series.
that yet.
I'm not asking.
Unlike
him for
RTD,
that.
who kind of
He
did cookie cutter.
He had a formula. Moffat has gotten away from the formula.
Biggest defender of Moffat in the universe. You guys know this. I am not complaining for that aspect of it. I am complaining from the standpoint that none of these episodes have knocked it out of the park for me. I've enjoyed them. I have enjoyed the ride. I've enjoyed the run. I thought they've been fun and good episodes. Even this one, which I did like. I just didn't like the Cybermen in it because we hit the reset button again.
Your Town Called Mercy.
Everybody's going to come back and say that I hated this one, but it's not that I hated it because I didn't.
Loved this episode.
Me
Best
too.
one of season series B.
See, I can't go that far.
7B.
What would you say is still the best of 7B?
I still like Hyde.
Hyde was good. It had bigger plot issues than this, though.
No.
Okay.
I didn't pick apart Hyde that bad. I just picked apart the umbilical cord and the... see, I don't even remember what the other issue I had with it was now. Can't remember what my other issue was. The umbilical cord was huge.
Well, until we fixed it for you.
Yeah. No,
we still didn't fix it.
No, what's his name?
It was just a
Somebody
jump start.
wrote that, yeah.
No, the TARDIS was materialized and unplugged it, and she was there plugged in, so it was okay.
And aside from the other issue with Hyde, which I didn't realize and we didn't talk about, was the fact that apparently the Doctor destroys all the crystals.
There is that.
That's kind of a huge plot hole. How does he have one when he destroyed them all?
The Doctor lies. What's coming up next week on the schedule?
I will throw one more.
No, you're not.
I'm going to throw one more out there.
We're tired of listening to you bag on this episode.
I'm not bagging on this episode. I'm going to throw one more out there.
So another thing why he liked the story.
I'm going to throw out one more.
Not admitting it.
Maybe my reservations about the season in general.
You backpedal.
I'm not backpedaling. Maybe my reservations about the season in general come from the fact that all of these Season B episodes I've only seen once. I have not had the opportunity to go back through and catch them a second time. Which I did last season, and I did the first part of it.
This is the way you should be reviewing things. This is how we all should be reviewing things. Is we should see it once, review it, and then if you want to enjoy it on multiple viewings and get more out of it or whatnot, that's how that should happen. But ultimately, a show is meant to air and get a reaction from you. Air and get a reaction from you. And that's simply how. So what you're stating is most honest, and you shouldn't go back and say maybe if I. No, you're giving the honest truth opinion for what you feel right now, and so that's the most honest thing to do.
If my perceptions seem colored, it's maybe because they were colored before when I was watching them twice before we came to the table.
That makes sense.
But so there's that.
I've only seen this one once because
me too.
I waited till the day to watch it.
Yeah.
I've seen all the other ones several times. Although Rings, I only saw. I think I saw that one once before. No, I watched that one twice before we reviewed it. So, all right, what's up next?
So next week we've got Remembrance of the Daleks for Friday Night Who with Sylvester McCoy. We've got our episode number 125. We are going to talk Star Trek. The new movie will be out. We're going to be discussing the IDW Star Trek crossover, which also happens to feature, spoilers, Cybermen.
Woo!
So we'll get more Cybermen for Keith. He'll be excited.
What?
And then we're almost all out, except for novels.
And the premiere. The finale. That's the word I was looking for. The premiere of the finale.
You know what? We got through this episode without penultimate.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yep. I was really hoping that we would have just glazed
over
that.
No, we didn't.
Not now. Next week is the finale, The Name of the Doctor, which if you pre-ordered your Season 7B, you've already seen. So we'll be talking about that.
I think I'll pre-order Season... Oh, I bet they already caught that mistake. All right. I ended up getting it like a day before. I'd get here on Friday.
The next week...
Oh, look, I got it early. Oh, it was by one day.
The next week we're going back to the Fourth Doctor with Robot for Friday Night Who on the 24th, which leads into our Fourth Doctor discussion. We're going to lump all that together just because we've been having issues getting a hold of the Revisited special.
So if anyone wants to send it to us, feel free.
Brenda has offered. So
we'd like to do that.
Officially see if she can get us.
So that gives you 2 weeks to vote. I just posted the Facebook poll tonight for all of Tom Baker's 4th episodes, which is going to be a monster. I don't know how we're going to do that.
So that episode we're discussing the Destiny of the Doctor?
126, we'll be discussing Doctor Who Revisited. We'll be discussing the Big Finish, Destiny of the Doctor.
Okay.
And we'll be discussing the 50th anniversary era of the 4th Doctor, all in the same week.
And we'll just have to make it quick.
I think it'll be all right, but it just depends on what news is out and how much feedback we get.
All right.
So go vote in the poll. Vote early. Vote often. Tell us what you think.
Oh, you're saying I can vote often, so I can vote as many times as I want?
Well, I told you not
One
to,
for
and
each.
nobody voted in the 3rd Doctor's one, so I'm just going to give you
I
that.
finally voted from the 3rd Doctor.
I almost, there's a part of me, just because Tom Baker's era is so
You almost need it per
large.
companion.
Well, it's so large, and it's so really disjointed, because it had those different feels. Like, it had the horror gothic feel to it, and then it had the comedic Douglas Adams ears, and it had the kind of the in-between stuff. I almost feel like maybe we do need to split it up. What's your most iconic episode from this time frame of Tom Baker's era versus this time frame? But
No, we haven't done that to any of the
we haven't done that to any of the rest
Doctor.
of them, so we're not going to start now. So.
All right. Well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week.
One more thing.
All right.
The following week, Friday Night Who, which is May 31st, we will be reviewing the first part of Inferno. We'll be watching the first part of Inferno, which Inferno is getting a special edition release on DVD. And that's the reason I mentioned that, because you've got 2 weeks. Make sure you go purchase that one when it comes out so that you can watch on Friday Night Who with us the end of May.
So then what are we reviewing that week?
We're going to do some Back to the Divergent Universe with McGann.
Ooh. So get your Big Finish ready.
That's right.
Yep.
All right.
Now I'm
it?
done. Now I'm done.
All right. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
Cybermen suck. I'm Sean.
I'm Mr. Clever.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Oh, you were supposed to say upgrade.
Oh. I'm still being converted.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.